What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
5WS. Chapter 101. Advertise here. There is such a news that appeared above the sea for a while, sweeping the entire sea like a hurricane. This news was sent by Morgans. That is the important battle force of naval headquarters such as Sengoku of Buddha. It may no longer be included in naval headquarters. There is no impermeable wall in this world. Even if the Sengoku of the Buddha is tightly concealed, there will still be one day when news is leaked. Morgan's ability to obtain information is undoubtedly the strongest in the sea. This man who is known as the king of news does not have any disappoint others. With the spread of this news, the evil men on the sea and the people who yearn for passion, their blood boiled for a while. Morgan's news has always been exaggerated. 10% of his information is always false, but 90% of it must be true. In this case, Sengoku, Garp and others are no longer in naval headquarters, are you? No one knows what they are doing, and then they say they are going to hold meetings for a few days and nights, which means they won't be back for a long time. Then are we going to the naval headquarters to make a fuss, right? Quote. Such remarks appeared in the Whitebeard pirates, in the Beasts pirates, and also in the Ants pirates. It can be said that many pirates are thinking about themselves, yes. Aren't you going to take a trip to Marines headquarters? Even the Revolutionary Army has held a meeting for this reason. Shouldn't we go to naval headquarters? After all, naval headquarters is the #1 running dog of the world government. But the conclusions reached are all, look at the wind first. Shoot the first bird. Let other birds try it first. Among them, Kid, who is known as the strongest among the supernovas, has already decided that he and his partners have decided that if they want to enter the new world and catch up with the 4 emperors' names, they are eligible to break their wrists with the 4 emperors, so now naval headquarters is the only way out. Kid knew he was not famous enough. With such a reputation, after entering the new world, you may not be able to recruit new partners. How can a pirate group without fresh blood catch up with the 4 emperors? At this moment, the 3 Admiral are not in naval headquarters, and the well-known important combat powers are not hindered. Kid carefully calculated his pros and cons. Those big pirates of New World naturally don't need such a road. Pirates who don't want to snatch the throne of the 4 emperors after entering New World don't need such a road, but Kid does. Kid felt that he had to take this risk. At the same time, a seagull flew to the deck of the red-haired pirate ship that was approaching naval headquarters. The red-haired Shanks caught the seagull's feet and removed the tied note. After taking a look, redhead Shanks frowned. What's the above? Ben Beckman and others on the deck became curious. The red-haired Shanks tore up the note and said, haha, it's nothing, this is just a piece of information I bought. The information says that in addition to our red-hair pirates, there are also guys from the 4th Division of Gotei 13 who are also moving towards leave naval headquarters. As soon as the 5 words Gotei 13 came out, the members called red-hair pirates became serious. On the sea today, no one will not know the existence of Gotei 13, and their toughness no longer needs to prove anything. But the members of red-hair pirates were not afraid of them one by one. Instead, they shouted passionately. Our goal is naval headquarters, and their goal is also naval headquarters, haha, this is really fun. Then I will let the 4th Division of Gotei 13 know the power of our red-hair pirates. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Quote. The crew of the redhead pirate ship, now all feel excited. They have listened to Seireitei and Gotei 13 many times. They want to experience for themselves how strong those guys are. This time, their red-hair pirates is the first. Others just got news from Morgans, when Sengoku and others may not be in naval headquarters. Their red-hair pirates, relying on Ben Beckman's analysis, are already close to naval headquarters. It can be said that the other pirate groups in New World are not as fast as their red-hair pirates. The pirates in the first half of the Grand Line had little guts to make a big fuss at naval headquarters. They had the guts and were not strong enough. But Gotei 13 is different. Who will kill the naval headquarters, pray? Redhead Shanks shook his head at this moment, saying, this piece of information I received said that the 4th Division is a medical team at all and does not have any terrible strength. Other members of Red Hair Pirates. Find flowers. Ben Beckman smoked a cigar, frowned slightly, and said, is your source reliable? Who is the source? I can't say. The red-haired Shanks smiled gently, but said firmly, the source is absolutely reliable. After a pause, he looked at Ben Beckman. Do you think the 4th Division will really go to naval headquarters? Ben Beckman thought about it. At last, Ben Beckman nodded and said, they will definitely go. When Shanks the redhead heard this, he had always trusted Ben Beckman's wisdom and analysis, and now he said, everyone, before naval headquarters, stop the Gotei 13th squad. Usopp didn't understand. Why? Why not wait for the 4th Division to go to naval headquarters and let them both quarrel? Then we can take advantage of the fishermen. Isn't it better? The other members nodded their heads. If it were them, they would definitely do it. However, the red-haired Shanks shook his head firmly. No. In this case, even if we get something from naval headquarters, in the eyes of Kaido and others of New World, we are all taking advantage of others. The redhead Shanks gave a crappy reason, whether the crew believe it or not, it is Tao, In short, there can be no other powers, you can log into naval headquarters before us, understand? The crew of red-hair pirates glanced at each other, but still didn't understand. They were pirates. Is their reputation important to them? Please give me this face, everyone. Redhead Shanks said to the crew. The crew immediately shook their heads. Captain, don't do this, you are the captain, we are the crew, of course we listen to you. Yes, we listen to you. Captain, what do you say, what do we do? Quote. At last, in the sea before naval headquarters. Red-hair pirates stopped two forces. One is the Kid Pirates and the other is the 4th Division of Unohana Retsu. Now, above the sea, 3 parties gather. For the role of red-haired Shanks, when I first saw it, maybe I was too young and felt normal for a while. Later, when I grew up, I thought his existence was weird. Chuan. Chapter 102. Advertise here. 1959 Chapter 102 Red Hair. Leave the 4th squad, you are not my opponent. The first half of the Grand Line. Kid is now known as the strongest among supernovae. In addition to Kid who has magnetic fruit, there are several powerful guys in the pirate group, such as Kira, Hit, and Vei. It can be said that in the first half of the Grand Line, even if they meet the Sand Crocodile and Gecko Moria, they don't need to be afraid. The difference is not that big. It was stopped by red hair pirates. Kid didn't expect it at all. Morgan circulated a message that Sengoku and others may not be in naval headquarters. How long has it passed? How could the forces of New World come so early? Kid certainly didn't know that before Morgan's, red hair pirates, known as the most intelligent Ben Beckman in the ocean today, inferred that naval headquarters was vacant. Now Kid is looking directly at the departments of Hongfa County. Yes, as for the existence of the 4th Division, it has basically been ignored by Kid. The captain of the 4th Division, Unohana Retsu, and a group of players, no matter how they look like a strong person, above the wanted order, the others of Gotei 13. People are far worse than people. Of course, this is a very reasonable thing in the eyes of Kid and the red-haired Shanks. How can there be an organization? Each captain is amazing, there is Admiral and even beyond Admiral's power, this is simply unprecedented. It's impossible, it's too unreasonable. And now Unohana Retsu of Gotei 13's 4th Division, looking so weak and gentle, with no strength at all, is reasonable in the eyes of Kid and Shanks and others. Why, red hair, why do you have to stop me here? Even if the opponent is 4 emperors, Kid is afraid in his heart, but on the surface he is not afraid. He also has his own plan. As soon as he enters the new world, he will challenge the 4 emperors. He also wants the position of the 4 emperors. He wants to open a new era. Naval headquarters is my prey, it has nothing to do with you, you leave. Redhead Shanks said lightly. For Kid and others, the red-haired Shanks just said that and they left. If this matter is spread, the Kid pirates will be talked about by others in the future. Besides, they will be red-haired. Shanks was shocked by a word, and he didn't even dare to hit him. Does Kid still have the face to fight for the throne of the 4 emperors in the future? Thinking of this, Kid with the red hedgehog's head, a dagger and a pistol on his chest, a dark red coat and goggles clenched his fists, grinned and laughed. 4 emperors red, you just want to let us go with just one sentence. This is too embarrassing for me. Why do you want me to see the gap between me and you? At this moment, Kid still had considerable confidence in his own strength, and did not realize how huge the gap between him and the 4 emperors was. Now Kid stretched out his arm, using the power of the magnetic fruit to display his skills. The mechanical arm, and the metal objects and weapons on the pirate ship were attracted one by one, and they were combined. On Kid's arm, it became a huge mechanical arm. The members of the 4th Division are now looking at this scene with wide-eyed eyes. The players are amazed. They are a little curious about this world's power system, but they feel a sense of freshness. After the redhead Shanks glanced at the 4th Division team, he didn't expect Kid to just show a small hand. The 4th Division team members are just like that. It seems that the strength is something really weak, and the redhead thinks the 4th Division team is really. It is not worth noting that if it is the 6th Division, what comes against the 11th Division, he is probably going to have a hard fight now, but it is the 4th Division, there is no need to worry about anything. Shanks, the redhead, now sets his sights on Kid. Ben Beckman's gaze did not look away from the members of the 4th Division. He discovered that the members of the 4th Division were just curious, not shocked. I found that Unohana Retsu's eyes were soft, but it didn't seem to fluctuate at all, the gentle face as always. Read more at mtlarchive.com. There was a trace of anxiety in the heart of Ben Beckman. The new era hasn't started yet, are you so eager to challenge? Okay, then I will let you see how huge the gap is. Right now, the red hair drew out the sword in his hand. The sword in his hand is not simple. It is one of the 12 skills of the Supreme Sword, the famous Sword Griffin. Right now, Kid was about to jump up and jump towards the redhead pirate ship. The sword of the red hair was slashed out. Take Conqueror's Haki. Suddenly, the space seems to have changed colors. Immediately, the other members of the Kid pirate group fell to the ground one by one. Kid's complexion changed drastically. Unexpectedly, the red-haired Shanks could combine the slash with Conqueror's Haki. Under this force, Kid gritted his teeth. Immediately, Kid's Conqueror's Haki also rushed out. This is the Haki of the chosen person, which only one person among millions of people has, that is, the Haki, who has the King's qualifications, standing above others, and the real overlord after possessing the mental skills and body. Just raising your aura can diverge hockey in all directions. This aura can even shake the ship's hull, and if you pass by, you can make all the battle-tested fierce fighters fall. The difference from the previous two is that even though Conqueror's hockey can be controlled freely, it cannot be strengthened by exercise. It can only be strengthened by the user's own growth. Kid barely held on, but already out of breath. He was pale, knowing he had lost. I will leave here. Kid gritted his teeth. He is not reconciled. Shanks, the redhead, took a look at him before finally looking at the 4th division. The redhead glanced at Unohana Retsu. This woman seemed to be reasonable. The red hair said straightforwardly, I hope you don't go to naval headquarters, because I am here to stop, you can't make it through. The crew of red hair pirates nodded. The members of the 4th division looked at Unohana Retsu. Captain, what should we do now? Katetsu Azane waited and looked at Unohana Retsu one by one. I hope the captain will give me an order. What do you decide to do? Chen Tian was also in the spirit palace, looking at this scene. Chen Tian doesn't know what he thinks of Shanks, the redhead. This guy, in order for Luffy to become a pirate group, he voluntarily broke his arm. The reputation is that this is entrusted to the future. At the time of the battle on the top, he was last on the stage, and one word gave me face or something. Since then, the pirate, marine has stopped. Unohana Retsu listened to the players, and heard the figure of the Spirit King in his heart. She frowned slightly. Gentle beauty, when frowning. No scenery. Now, the members of the 4th division are waiting for the captain's decision. Chapter 103. Advertise here. 21 Chapter 103 Zanpakuto, can't attack. Inside the Spirit Palace, Chen Tian is waiting for Unohana Retsu's decision. The same is true for the members of the 4th division, and even the red-haired Shanks pirates are like this. They should leave, the gap between them and us is too big, they can't compare to us. If here are other teams from Gotei 13, then the result will be different, there is bound to be a fierce battle. Seriously, this 4th division team has a very good looking length. I can't bear to hurt her. Quote. Just when the redhead Shanks and his crew thought that Unohana Retsu would order to leave, Unohana Retsu took a deep breath. Well, don't hurt them too much. I don't know if Unohana Retsu said this to herself or to the players. After the words fell, Unohana Retsu clapped her hands. The members of the 4th division behind him stepped forward one by one. In fact, they can become members of the 4th division. Some Zanpakuto must already be shikai, even if the power is small, but they must have reached the level of shikai, no matter how bad. 18 It's time to learn some Kido skills. It's really unwise to choose to fight. The red-haired Shanks watched Unohana Retsu make such a decision. He didn't understand it. He shook his head. Just now when his conqueror's hockey went towards the kid pirates, he felt that the 4th division of Gotei 13 must have seen his strength. At this time, he should have understood the difference between strengths and weaknesses. Why do they still take them at this time? Does the egg touch the rock? Sometimes the redhead Shanks is really depressed. Why is it so strange if I don't understand some people's ideas? Be careful, Ben Beckman said at this time. He felt that things might not be as simple as it seems, and perhaps the 4th division was not as weak as it seems. Now the naval headquarters Marine Vandals warship has come out. Just now, above this sea area, the red-haired Shanks conquerors hockey caused the movement, called the Peach Rabbits in the naval headquarters, and the T-Dolphin led some marine soldiers to arrive, but Taudu did not order to approach, but watched this scene silently not far away. It's actually the redhead Shanks and Gotei 13. Everyone should be careful. Tautu's voice made all the marines she brought out to curl their lips. Why let us listen to you? What are you? You suddenly came out and wanted to order us. Quote. It can be said that most of the marines are now unconvinced with Peach Rabbits and T-Dolphin and investigated and dealt with, and even some major generals, captains, lieutenants, etc. who stayed behind. Sengoku, the Buddha, stayed here, and did not take it to the Sky Island for the final battle. It is because these people are very special. Compared with ordinary marines, they have more special identities. They came to naval headquarters. Those who came to be gilded were not here to fight at all. Tautu currently doesn't know enough about naval headquarters, so he brought these people out. At this moment, listening to the voices of these people, Tautu frowned. Cha Dolphin stood beside Daotu and comforted. Don't be angry, as long as we ignore them, it will be fine, right? But no matter what the T-Dolphin said, Tautu still had such a face. The major generals and lieutenants who were brought out didn't care if Tautu was angry or not. They all have prominent families, such as who was their father and who was their mother. In short, they are either related to naval headquarters, world government, or celestial dragons. For example, my sister is celestial. Dragon's favorite pet. You offend me, I told my sister will be celestial dragons. Another example. This is also relevant. Any place is harmful to the horses of the herd. Read more at mtlarchive.com. In naval headquarters, there are naturally two. But these black sheep move their whole body by one action. Sengoku called the Buddha can only open one eye and close one eye. You said that Red Hair Pirates is facing a certain team of Gotei 13, who will win. A big-bellied poop, the major general who looked at the fat more than the muscles, and struggled with a sword, asked the other marines behind him. You don't need to ask, of course it is the red-haired Shank, he is 4 emperors, how could he be defeated so easily? Yes, look at the guy on the opposite side of Gotei 13. The leader is actually a woman, who looks so weak, how could she be the opponent of the red-haired Shanks? Originally, I hoped that red-hair pirates and Seireitei's squad would fight you to death. Then, we can go up and arrest them. In this case, this feat, I'm afraid it will fall on us. I think so too. It's a pity that this Gotei 13 squad is too weak. Anyone with eyes can see it and lose. These Marines, who were abandoned by the Buddha Sengoku in naval headquarters and knew that they were not useful, are now chatting leisurely here. They don't care that this is a battlefield, so they think it is a good place to chat. Peach Rabbit stomped her feet. If it weren't for Sengoku's order, if it wasn't for Suru to take care of her like a younger sister, she had beaten up these bastards a long time ago. But on this occasion, it is not suitable to blame them. Now, the members of the 4th Division began to shoot one by one, and the look in their eyes showed fighting spirit. But I have to say that they are not suitable for fighting. The war intent in his eyes only appeared for a while, and he was a little embarrassed, and felt that he didn't know how to fight. Don't you have Zanpakuto? The red hair felt funny in his heart. These 4 teams are here to be funny, right? At the same time, based on the curiosity of Zanpakuto, the red hair said, you can use Zanpakuto to fight, don't you have the so-called shikai? Use it. Hawkeye lost. Shanks also obtained a lot of information from Hawkeye. The members of the 4th Division who heard the words of the red-haired Shanks were even more embarrassed. Among them, Katetsu Azane, the deputy captain of the 4th Division came out and said, my Zanpakuto is Frozen Cloud, and Zanpakuto's ability is Ice and Snow. Like a companion who has a high fever or something, Frozen Cloud can quickly cool down. Redhead Shanks. Red hair pirates others. Tautu and others not far away. At this moment Kid and the pirates who were called by Kid. The red-haired Shanks couldn't help but laugh. Zanpakuto's abilities are really strange, and there are also such things. He looked at Yamada Hanadoro of the 4th Division. Yamada Hanadoro, with a somewhat introverted personality, said in a low voice, my Zanpakuto is Hitsugaya. Zanpakuto's ability is to absorb damage and heal the opponent when he cuts into the opponent's wound. Shanks and others don't know what to say anymore. Shanks looked at Ben Beckman and said, your worries seem to be unnecessary. The red hair looked at the humanity of the 4th Division seriously. Since you have such strength, why don't I ask you a few words, I hope you will answer. Unohana Retsu frowned slightly. Seireitei will not tell you any information. In the 4th Division, of course, there are also a few who are not introverted. Our Zanpakuto is not suitable for fighting. But we still have Bakuto, don't underestimate us. Yes, don't underestimate us. Chapter 104. Advertise here. Chapter 104. Please don't let Unohana Retsu do your best, it's terrible. 6th more seeking subscription. Bakuto. These 2 words were remembered by Redhead Shanks and others. Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin and others not far away also glanced at each other, another piece of information about Seireitei Gotei 13. Besides Zanpakuto, there is Bakuto. Hearing Unohana Retsu's guidance, some members of the 4th Division looked at each other. Some players don't know Bakuto, they just know Kaido. Kaido is a cure for Reiatsu. It is also one of Kido. But this method is generally only learned by people from the 4th Division. Bakuto is different. Now the members of the 4th Division are starting to take action. 1 of Bakuto, stuffed. The 4th of Bakuto, this rope. The 8th of Bakuto, scold. Some of the pirates in the red hair pirates who hadn't reacted to the front were immediately restrained. It turned out to be like this. Redhead Shanks finally understands what Bakuto is. At the same time, he said to his crew, it's only a little bit tricky. As long as everyone pays attention, it will be fine. At the same time, he took a look at the naval ships of naval headquarters. The red-haired Shanks also opened his mouth and said, you guys should be careful too. The Marines on the deck of the naval headquarters were all furious. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Want you to control. Red hair, who do you think you are? Let us do what you tell us to do. Do you think you are great? Most of the Marines who came from Noble's side contemptuously. Redhead pirate on board. Usopp snorted, Captain, why bother with them? Another crew member said, Captain, we and Marine are enemies. The red hair grinned broadly, because I want to defeat them who are intact, so that others will approve of our greatness, don't they? Usopp waited blankly and nodded. But Unohana Retsu discovered something, and said in a gentle tone, the red-haired gentleman, in fact, you are insincere. Her power of observation is still there. It is impossible for things like observation to be sealed. She easily finds things that others, and even other Shinigami, have not found. Don't talk nonsense, there is no such thing. The red-haired Shanks' eyes flashed, but he said firmly. He did not expect that this woman who looked as soft as the spring breeze, but was weak, would actually find this in herself. To be honest, it seems to the red-haired Shanks that red-hair pirates will find this. Only Ben Beckman, but Ben Beckman doesn't know what's going on. Sometimes he's curious but doesn't ask him, he seems to be waiting. Just tell him the same. Unohana Retsu looked at the red-haired Shanks and didn't admit it. She smiled and didn't say much. And the conversation between Unohana Retsu and the red-haired Shanks was heard by the Marines on the warship not far away. Each of them was not very good looking. They asked themselves to be different from the red-haired Shanks. They were born noble. I felt that I was superior, just a little bit lower than the great celestial dragons, and what his red-haired Shanks was, he was just a pirate, a thief. What nonsense. How does the red-haired Shanks deserve to have something to do with us? Well said, what is he? How could he get involved with people like us? Redhead Shanks will be caught by us one day. Quote. The Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin of warships looked at each other, and they also found something wrong with the red-haired Shanks. However, they don't know much about the red-haired Shanks. They just know that he is one of the 4 emperors. It looks like Marine, the world government is quite generous with red-hair pirates, but not so much for the other 4 emperors pirates. That's it. What's the secret in it? Dao Tu and Cha Dolphin knew that this was not something they could ask about. Perhaps the answer is simple. Red hair pirates has a softer style, so it is not so disliked by naval headquarters and world government. At this time, the members of the 4th Division one after another showed that Bakudo fought with the crew of red hair pirates. Bakudo is a system that the pirates in this world don't know, so when the battle started, it was really a little constrained. At this time, the red-haired Shanks jumped curiously, came to the warship where Unohana Retsu was located, and walked up towards Unohana Retsu step by step. As the captain of the 4th Division, your Bakudo must be better than theirs, so how about let me see it? The redhead Shanks smiled and said, seeming to have a lot of confidence in his own strength, believing that Unohana Retsu's Bakudo is better than his players, and there is no way he can do it. As one of the 4 emperors, there is still self-confidence in this point. What did Katetsu Azane, the deputy captain of the quartet team, realize? Immediately shook his head. No, my captain can't fight, otherwise terrible things will happen. Quote. She seems to have discovered some secrets, perhaps confirmed or not, she is now anxiously saying that she wants to stop the red-haired Shanks from fighting with her captain Unohana Retsu. Hongwa Shanks, seeing her like this, thinks she really made a fuss. What terrible things can happen if they are fighting? Could it be that this square captain was beating, and suddenly the mask fell off and became Zaraki Kenpachi, became Byakuya Kuchiki, became Hitsugaya Tōshirō? That's the case. If it is really like this, red-haired Shanks thinks that it will really scare him, a gentle woman who suddenly becomes a man, who is not afraid. However, even if something like this happened to like Zhao, the red-haired Shanks felt that he would only be scared for a while, and could not really be scared. As the 4 emperors on the sea, he has never seen anything. A woman eats a devil fruit and becomes a man man eats a devil fruit and becomes an animal. There are so many things like this. Red-haired Shanks are used to it. Up. No matter what the captain of the 4th Division, Unohana Retsu, becomes, the redhead Shanks is confident of his strength and determination. You are the deputy captain of the 4th Division, let go, you are not my opponent, now I just want to see the strength of your captain. Listening to the scent of red flowers, this seems humble, but in fact it is arrogant. Now Katetsu Azane gritted his teeth and said, you don't understand what will happen. If you continue to wait like this, a terrible disaster will happen. So please fight with me, don't disturb my captain. Chapter 105. Advertise here. Chapter 105. The red-haired Shanks now has a confident smile at the corner of his mouth, and he keeps walking towards Unohana Retsu. Katetsu Azane's words make the red-haired Shanks even more curious about what the captain of Gotei 13's 4th Division is like. Power. Judging from the current performance of Unohana Retsu, it is really not very good. In the opinion of the redhead Shanks, even if Unohana Retsu exerts his strength, he should be able to bear it. Don't be fooling around. If you want to fight, just fight with me. If you must fight with my captain, then very scary things will happen then, and it will be difficult to stop it. Katetsu Azane walked up again, and some people who hated iron and steel said to the red-haired Shanks, I hope that the red-haired Shanks can listen to her. She is not for the red-haired Shanks, but for the sake of her partner. For Katetsu Azane, the captain is the most important, and the gentle captain is the best. She can't let the captain become. Katetsu Azane's roar called space, and there was silence. No one thought that Katetsu Azane would do this. Many generals on Marine's side laughed. They are of aristocratic origin, and they may have some power, but they definitely don't have the qualities of the Sengoku of the Buddha and the Marines who took them away. They just said mockingly, it seems that the red-haired Shanks is really not good. This seemingly weak 4th Division deputy captain has said that you can't beat their weaker-looking captain. Redhead Shanks, you can't beat this woman at all, ha 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 ha. Dao Tu and Cha Dolphin looked at each other and didn't say much. At the same time, the crew of red hair pirates are fighting with the members of the 4th Division of Gotei 13. Now they have gradually adapted to the Bakudo of the 4th Division members and can deal with them. I have to say the 4th Division. The combat effectiveness of the players is really poor, but the strength of red hair pirates is average, and the cooperation is very good. When it comes to cooperation, in the 4 Emperors Pirates, there is absolutely no other pirates in cooperation and teamwork, can be compared with red hair pirates. Now the crew of red hair pirates can even roar while fighting. Stop talking nonsense, our captain is very powerful. Our captain Shanks, but that is the youngest and most potential existence in the 4 emperors. Give us the captain some time, our captain can definitely be better than Whitebeard and Kaido. Captain, we all believe in you. What is the captain still making? Come on, let them see your power. Quote. The red-haired Shanks heard what the Marines and his crew said, and the red-haired Shanks knew he couldn't drag it anymore. Immediately red-haired Shanks took his own steps, step by step towards Unohana Retsu. Seeing this, Kotetsu Azane gritted his teeth, knowing that he would stop the man anyway. Bakudo. Kotetsu Azane can become the deputy captain of the 4th Division, and his Bakudo is naturally outstanding among the members of the 4th Division. Bakudo, as a kind of Kido, is the same. The number is the weakest. The higher the number, the stronger it is. The 58 of Bakudo, slap the toe to chase the bird, change it. Suddenly, the redhead Shanks was locked. Then, Kotetsu Azane, continue to shoot. The 77th of Bakudo, the sky is empty. While she was singing, redhead Shanks shot, he found himself underestimating Bakudo. The higher the number, the more powerful. No one is like 77. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The redhead Shanks knew that he had to beat the opponent when he shot. Immediately, boom, redhead Shanks kicked Kotetsu Azane away. Seeing this scene, on the other side, the Red Hair Pirates crew, who had suppressed the other members of the 4th Division, also became elated. Yes, Captain, that should be done. Captain, the 4th squad or something, it's nothing great at all. Captain, go, defeat the captain of the 4th Division and let the Marines on the side know our strength. Quote. The redhead Shanks walked towards Unohana Retsu of the 4th Division. Not far away, Tautu, T-Dolphin knew that the red-haired Shanks was going to win. The 4th Division of Gotei 13 was really not good. Tautu immediately ordered the Marines behind him. Everyone, get ready, the red-haired Shanks are going to win, and then the goal of Red Hair Pirates is us. The T-Dolphins nodded and said, the T-Dolphins and I will contain the red-haired Shanks. Then it will be yours. Tautu nodded. She and the T-Dolphin want to come and contain the red-haired Shanks. They can still do it. Containment is not the same as victory. Beat the redhead Shanks. Dao-Tu and Cha-Dolphin are not sure. But the red-haired Shanks wants to easily defeat the T-Dolphin, and Tautu's teamwork is not that simple. Now, the Marine generals pouted one by one, but they also knew that they were going to fight Red Hair Pirates. No way. Who made the 4th Division of Gotei 13 weak to such a level? And saw that my team members failed and were injured one by one. Unohana Retsu's gaze gradually became serious. Looking aside, Ben Beckman is about to shoot at a member of the 4th Division. The thundering carriage, the crevice of the spinning wheel, this thing has light, and it is divided into 6. 61 of Bakudo, 6 rods light prison. Suddenly. On the other side, when Ben Beckman hadn't reacted, 6 light films blocked Ben Beckman's actions. Ben Beckman's eyes widened. The red-haired Shanks didn't expect such a powerful Bakudo to exist, and even Ben Beckman couldn't get rid of it for a while. Simultaneously, looking at the injured players, Unohana Retsu finally pulled out his Zanpakudo. Shanks, the redhead, looks serious. At this moment, the eyes of the Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin on the warship are also condensed. Could it be that the captain of this 4th Division is not as simple as it seems on the surface? Come on, Minazuki. Following her words, everyone looked at Zanpakudo in her hand carefully. At last, Zanpakudo has changed, in the unbelievable of everyone. There was a strange Reiatsu, which started to fluctuate. Turned into a huge and flat monocular flying object. Right now, Unohana Retsu stood on this flying object. The redhead Shanks and others never thought that a knife could be changed into this way. Next moment, the huge creature opened its mouth and swallowed Kotetsu Azane and other injured members of the 4th Division. What? This scene is called the red-haired Shanks and others, both of them staring. What is she doing? Look at the gentle woman, even his team members are killed. What happened? Chapter 106. Advertise here. Zanpakudo turned into a huge and flat one-eyed monster, similar to a devil fish, that swallowed the injured members of the 4th Division one by one. At this moment, this scene was exactly like this, almost falling out of everyone's eyes. How could such a weird thing happen? The people present never expected such a terrible thing to happen. The captain of the 4th Division, Unohana Retsu, seemed to be a gentle woman at all. Would she do such a thing? Now the redhead Shanks shook his sword tightly. They were about to head towards Unohana Retsu on the manta ray. At this moment, the swallowed members of the 4th Division appeared again, but they did not seem to have been defeated by the Red Hair Pirates crew just now. Appearance. It turned out to be like this. At this moment, the red-haired Shanks felt that he had understood. It turns out that Unohana Retsu Zanpakudo, the captain of the 4th Division, is not a fighting Zanpakudo, but also a rescue type. No wonder the 4th Division of Gotei 13 is a medical team. Whether it is the crew of the Red Hair Pirates, the Marines not far away, or the people of the Kid Pirates who secretly observed this scene, they are all wondering in their hearts now, but Zanpakudo is so diverse. Isn't this the same as devil fruit in their world? But it belongs to another system. At the same time, they were also shocked by Unohana Retsu's treatment method. You must know that whether it is naval headquarters or other pirate groups, there are doctors, but who is the most powerful doctor in the sea? This point there is no conclusion. You know that there are several well-known doctors in the sea. The first thing I want to talk about is Luo among the supernovas. He is called the Death Surgeon. Then it's Guy. Of course, there is also Kurokas, the former doctor of the Roger Pirates. In addition, it is rumored that there is a poison doctor named Po Q. Gecko Moria's subordinate Hogback also had to be mentioned. Ivankov, a member of the Revolutionary Army, is also rumored that she has excellent medical skills and saved some incurable people. This is so, the number one among the doctors, no one knows who it should be. However, after seeing Unohana Retsu's hand, everyone can't help but heal if swallowed. If it is really like this, if this is the case, the captain of the 4th Division of Gotei 13 is probably placed on this ocean, and he is also the person with the highest medical skills. Such a method is a bit too convenient, and it seems that there is no need for medicine or herbal medicine. Please don't hurt them. If you want to fight, let me come with you. Unohana Retsu breathed a sigh of relief and looked at the red-haired Shanks and said. Unohana Retsu's words, in the eyes of the crew of red-hair pirates, are really reckless. Although Unohana Retsu's Zanpakuto was able to turn into this very weird creature, it was quite unexpected. But their captain is red-haired, but he's an amazing existence. His captain used to be a trainee member of the Roger pirate group. At that time, his reputation was not that good at all. Compared with Bullet, it was far worse. However, his own captain has accumulated over time and finally became the youngest existence among the 4 emperors. How can ordinary people do this kind of thing? Later, it was simple to keep up, but it was really difficult to achieve this. Okay, come on, let me see your methods. Although Unohana Retsu's Bakudo is quite powerful, the tone of the red-haired Shanks is still relaxed. 62 of Bakudo, 100-step railing. Now Unohana Retsu directly abandoned the chant and flew out a lot of hexagonal pillars towards the red-haired Shanks. Redhead Shanks only feels a sense of crisis. He felt that he might be trapped. Head-to-head, absolutely not. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Relying on speed, he avoided. The crew of red-hair pirates looked at this scene and was also taken aback. His captain did not choose to go head-to-head, is he not sure? Bakudo, can you be so good? Unohana Retsu continued to shoot. She feels that she hasn't taken a shot for a long time, so she is not used to it, otherwise she can succeed just now. 88 of Hado, the dragon strikes the thieves and shakes the sky with thunder cannons. This is currently Unohana Retsu's strongest attack method. Boom. A white light, like a huge pillar, burst out directly. This power is incredible. At the same time, Unohana Retsu could also use aggressive means, which was unexpected to the redhead Shanks. The red-haired Shanks' slash, and went away at the same time. This is the existence that can compete with the eagle eyes slash. Suddenly, the sea seemed to have stirred up waves due to this slash, and split into 2 at the same time. The clouds in the sky also broke apart because of this slash. The slash and the white beam of light collided together. Find flowers. Aftermath, moving towards the surroundings. The pirate ship where the Kid pirate group is located, under the aftermath of waves, fluctuated and seemed to be disintegrating. Kid already understands that he is going to New World, but he is not strong enough now. Not only that, what is wrong with his pirate ship? Aftermath finally passed. Redhead Shanks looked at Unohana Retsu solemnly, and had to say, I underestimated you. Although that said, but the redhead Shanks feels that he can still beat Unohana Retsu. Katetsu Azane just stopped him. Don't fight Unohana Retsu, saying that something terrible will happen. Now the redhead Shanks thought of this scene, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but smile. Unohana Retsu got serious, something. But it wouldn't make him red-haired Shanks scared, right? The crew of red-hair pirates glanced at each other. The teamwork and tacit understanding of their red-hair pirates is something other pirate groups don't have. The captain fights the captain and the captain, how can we do nothing? That's right, let's go too, and continue to beat the other members of the 4th Division. They shot one by one. Seeing this, Unohana Retsu couldn't help but frown and said, stop it, don't hurt my team members, otherwise. Katetsu Azane understood something and immediately said, Captain, don't. Then immediately shouted at the person at Red Hair Pirates, don't fight, stop. However, the crew of Red Hair Pirates did not stop. The 4th Division of Gotei 13 is about to be defeated right now, what hand do you live with? Unohana Retsu wanted to save his team members, but was stopped by the redhead Shanks. Looking at the attacked team member, but he was stopped and could not do anything. Unohana Retsu's eyes are getting colder. Are you really going to fight me? Unohana Retsu lowered her head and her voice became low. Redhead Shanks frowned slightly. Why? Fight me, is the price you can afford. She stretched out her hand and untied the braids tied to her chest. Suddenly, there is a horrible Reiatsu, it seems to be released. Rumble. The whole sea trembled. Then, Reiatsu rose from Unohana Retsu, with a terrifying aura, rushed to the sky, and directly rushed through the high clouds. This scene, like a spectacle, shaking the sea. Chew on. Chapter 107. Advertise here. Unohana Retsu, formerly known as Unohana Yakiryu, she was the first Shinigami to have the title of Kenpachi. She is the founder of the 11th and 4th Squad concepts. Before joining Gotei 13, she was known as the unprecedented villain of Soul Society. Later, she was defeated by Yamamoto Genryūsai before entering Gotei 13. When she untied the braids tied to her chest, it changed, and everything seemed to have changed. Unohana Retsu's look and momentum, as well as other aspects, have become different from just now. In the Spirit Palace, Chen Tian's eyes are also looking at this scene in this world. It's hard and soft, the flower of Mao. Not bad. For Unohana Retsu, who is now the Spirit King, he gave a deep affirmation and nodded. The Reiatsu I kept in her heart, it seems that she can borrow it now. Her Reiatsu, plus my Reiatsu, ha ha ha. Even if Chen Tian puts Reiatsu on Unohana Retsu, not much, but enough. The demon fish disappeared and turned back into Zanpakuto in Ujihua's hand. At this moment she raised Zanpakuto. The unwilling soul who once died in her seems to be unwilling, but now Gia is resounding in the space, very stern. Plus Unohana Retsu's terrible aura. Those present only felt that their scalp was numb. How so? It's terrible, how could she be so terrible? What exactly is going on? Red-haired Shanks waited, frowning, unable to understand what was going on. The crew of red-hair pirates are yelling. Captain, this may be an illusion, trust your strength, you can definitely defeat the opponent. Yes, Captain, trust your strength. Quote. It's noisy. At this moment, Mao Zihua suddenly said faintly. The tone is completely different from just now. With her voice. No one can see how and when she made the sword. A gust of sword wind, first smashed to death as directly attacked. Hoo, so horrible, most of the crew of the redhead pirate ship have not realized what happened. Puff, a terrible hole suddenly opened in their chests, dripping with blood, splattering out. The crew of the red-haired pirate ship, who have experienced many battles, followed the red-haired through various wars. But now, it became like this. They fell one by one. Important members such as Ben Beckman should have gone to see their injuries, but now they are even more deeply shocked by the scene before them. The deep Reiatsu of Ujihua is really terrifying, and there is a trace of Reiatsu of the Spirit King among them, the two are one. But looking at the sky, it was suddenly covered by dark clouds. That round of tomorrow seemed to become a blood moon. Above the sea, one after another was covered with a layer of blood, which made the people in this space feel endless, stunned. Marine's generals frowned. At this time, there was a trace of fear in their hearts, and they looked at Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin one by one. Read more at mtlarchive.com. You should be able to cope with the scene in front of you, right? Marshal Sengoku, come to you, I think you must have a way, right? Quote. Only at this moment, these marine generals recognized the status of Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin. But Dao Tu and Cha Dolphin looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with surprise and jealousy. It seems that we are all wrong, she is not as soft as her appearance, but... Tautu couldn't say anything at this moment, her pretty face was already pale and solemn. The T-Dolphin stared at the scene closely, and the voice was also extremely heavy. Unexpectedly, she would be so terrible. I think she is even more terrifying than the ant among the four emperors. Listen to the conversation between Tautu and Chado. Marine generals are shocked. What does it mean? Could it be that these two people also take the captain of Gotei 13 in front of them, and there is nothing they can do about it? They looked at the terrible scene in front of them, the blood moon shining on the sea, and the dark clouds covering the sky, like night. They couldn't help but start to get hairy. Impossible, there is red hair. Waiting for red hair pirates to fight her and lose both, we still have hope, right? Yeah, should we still have hope? Quote. The marine generals panicked one by one, and said to Peach Rabbit. I hope that the two lieutenants can say something that makes them feel at ease. However, Tautu and Cha Dolphin looked at each other, but couldn't say anything. They really don't have the slightest confidence. It depends on the red-haired Shanks, is it true and rumored? Redhead Shanks took a deep breath. Regret it. Regret for forcing the gentlewoman in front of me to fight seriously. Redhead Shanks gritted his teeth. He didn't want to admit it. Now he is holding the famous sword tightly, concentrating on facing Ujihua. Actually you are not strong. Now, Ujihua's voice rang. Indifferent. Ruthless. Make your scalp numb. Redhead Shanks took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. He doesn't believe it. A woman who just untied her braids. Has it really changed drastically? Redhead Shanks out of the sword. Scimitar cut. Puff. The red-haired Shanks was about to take action. Suddenly, his ribs split and blood splashed. The redhead Shanks stood there blankly. When did the opponent make the shot? When did you cut yourself down? Redhead Shanks finds himself unable to react. Looking at the scene before me, the staring eyes of the members of Red Hair Pirates are almost falling out. Do not. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. His own captain, one of the four emperors, was simply cut off like this. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? Could it be? Is it a dream? Ah, it hurts. Usopp squeezed his thigh. It hurt. This is not a dream. Impossible. Our captain, how could it be cut like this? It must be accidental. Captain, we trust you. The members of Red Hair Pirates gritted their teeth and drank again, hoping that their captain would be strong, but they couldn't just be defeated. Redhead Shanks knows that the crew is looking at him. How could I be so defeated? He didn't believe in the power of his four emperors' rank, so he simply lost. I must have been careless and negligent just now. If I use observation hockey from the beginning, armament hockey is the highest level. It must not be like this. Redhead Shanks regained confidence. However, the next moment. Chapter 108. Advertise here. The next moment the red-haired Shanks discovered that the knife in Unohana Retsu's hand had reached the top of his head. The red-haired Shanks did not expect that he would only react to observation hockey's experience in fighting for many years. Too late. I actually reacted so late. The red-haired Shanks client once questioned his observation hockey and responsiveness. It was too late to escape completely now. The red-haired Shanks's red hair was cut off sharply by this knife. For a time, red hair scattered all over the place. The red-haired Shanks knew that he must be very ugly at the moment. He clenched his fists and stared coldly at Unohana Retsu in front of him. He had never felt ashamed as he is today. The red-haired Shanks thought that the weak-looking Unohana Retsu in front of him was not his opponent at all. So after repeated provocations, I felt that the captain was very suitable for the captain. The deputy captain of the 4th Division, Katetsu Azane, blocked himself again and again, saying that he could not stimulate Unohana Retsu and so on. At that time, 18 red-haired Shanks thought Katetsu Azane was a joke. He didn't know the power of his red-haired Shanks. What about now? Things have developed to the point where the red-haired Shanks feels that he is the real joke. It turns out that the clown is himself. Why is it like this? The information I got, Yoshinagami's shikai and Bankai will become very powerful afterwards, but why do you shikai as a medical effect? It doesn't work at all, and there is no Bankai now, why can you be so good now? Kind of the situation. The red-haired Shanks at this moment really finds it hard to believe this. Shinigami, not only 10 shikai, Bankai, but also kendo. Unohana Retsu said lightly, she seemed to be a cold goddess, and she was the only one in Shinigami with a full kendo level. Of course, Zaraki Kenpachi is also Kenpachi, but his kendo relies on brute force, not so much that he is good at Kenpachi, it cannot be said that he is good at strength. Only Unohana Retsu's kendo reached the highest level of Shinigami. Sword. The red-haired Shanks gritted his teeth. He didn't believe that he would be defeated by the mere kendo. Redhead Shanks knows that the people at Red Hair Pirates are looking at him now. As one of the 4 emperors, he absolutely can't just lose like this. Now the red-haired Shanks covers armament hockey, and the whole body has a metallic color that most people don't have. At the same time, observation hockey starts to fill the space. The red-haired Shanks knows that he must raise 120 hearts to deal with the opponent in front of him. If you want to come to Unohana Retsu like this, it should be difficult to beat yourself, it's not that simple anymore. Just when the red-haired Shanks thought so, with a sigh, Unohana Retsu came to the red-haired Shanks again at some point, and now the red-haired Shanks' eyes widened, he only felt that Unohana Retsu in front of him was too fast. This sword came towards the red-haired Shanks under the cover of Reiatsu. The force carried in it slid through the space quickly, calling the space a piece of distortion, and now it has hit Shanks' blade severely. With a loud bang, the red-haired Shanks found that his palm had been torn apart by the sword energy, and armament hockey could not resist the sword energy 100%, and was bloody for a while. Even the red-haired Shanks felt that the bones of his sword-holding hands were aching. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The redhead Shanks couldn't believe it, did he just fall into the wind like this? He looked at Unohana Retsu in front of him again, and found that the woman's eyes were indifferent, as if she didn't show 100% strength against herself, the sword just now was just a casual wave. The red-haired Shanks can't help gritting his teeth viciously, is he about to be easily defeated by the opponent? If such a thing spreads to the sea, who would recognize his red-haired Shanks as qualified to be one of the 4 emperors? Immediately, the red-haired Shanks slashed at Unohana Retsu again, and the red-haired Shanks was completely angry. His sword was faster and more ruthless than the previous shot, and it was no longer in the eyes of the eagle. For this kind of sword, the Tautu named Marine also nodded. You know, Tautu is also a master of swords, but he feels that his kendo is worse than the red-haired Shanks. The red-haired Shanks' swordsmanship seems to be nothing good, but in fact, it's too regular. The rules are to the extreme. Nothing unusual, but I don't feel any flaws at all. It is different from the fierce swordsman attacking on the sea today. But this kind of swordsmanship is also extremely terrifying. However, looking at the red-haired Shanks' swordsmanship, Unohana Retsu shook her head. She looked plain. Similarly, the sword in his hand was swung up again. For a time, space stagnated. One sword. The void seems to be beginning to shatter. Then the 2 swords collided viciously and proudly. The aftermath of horror swept away. Circles of invisible air waves burst. All of a sudden, the sea was booming, resounding, and the waves rolled, frantically moving towards the surroundings. Look at the red-haired Shanks again, one of his fingers has been cut off. There is also an extra sword mark on his body. Blood gushed out of it. But Unohana Retsu stood there with a face of indifference. To her, it seemed that she had just cooked a dish just now, and her face was calm. This bloody scene seemed to be nothing to her. It's just a small scene. But now everyone can see that the red-haired Shanks has fallen into a disadvantage. Kid pirates have been dumbfounded, especially Kid, he was easily defeated by the red hair just now, knowing that the red hair is powerful and well-deserved. But what is going on now? Fight with this woman, red-haired Shanks is gone. But when you think about it, it's not that the red-haired Shanks is weak, but that this woman is too strong, right? Kid was speechless, shocked not knowing what to say. Maybe there is some decadence in my heart. When others go to sea, the strongest opponent is the 4 emperors. Many people say that the emperor is at the same level. Kid thinks, the gap between himself and the 4 emperors, in terms of age, if he is the age of the 4 emperors, he will not be too far behind the 4 emperors. But after he went to sea, in this era, there were more mysterious existences like Seireitei. The redhead Shanks, in the hands of the captain of the 4th Division, looks like a toy. This woman just waved like that, red-haired Shanks was about to bleed. This era has Seireitei's Gotei 13. Kid felt that his fortune was extremely bad. Ben Beckman also saw this. His captain is not an opponent at all. Now he immediately shouted to Usopp, Lackey, and the cadres. The spirit of our red hair pirates is unity. Everyone, together. Let's go. Chapter 109. Advertise here. Now Ben Beckman and others are making every move, and they are teaming up with the red-haired Shanks, ready to attack Unohana Retsu together. The members of the 4th Division saw this scene and were ready to help, but they were stopped by Unohana Retsu. At this moment, Unohana Retsu's aura and image were completely different from the image of the captain he usually saw with his teammates. The breath made them dare not get too close. Katetsu Azane also asked everyone to retreat. Today's captain can deal with red hair pirates alone, and deal with a group of people alone, without any problems. Hey, this is too despising our red hair pirates. Usopp screamed carelessly, and the other members frowned one after another, thinking that they were underestimated. Ben Beckman now also seriously said, anyone who underestimates the existence of red hair pirates will ultimately face failure. Ben Beckman and Usopp are equivalent to shooters, Lackey is a tank, and most of the other crew are equivalent to tanks, and there are other assistants, and the red-haired Shanks are fighters and assassins. Now they are all rushing forward, facing Unohana Retsu alone. Boom boom boom, they immediately fought against each other. As the saying goes, I don't know if I don't fight, and I was shocked when I hit red hair pirates. The pirates of red hair pirates were surprised to find that they and the entire pirate group were suppressed by women like Unohana Retsu. For a time, it was unable to gain the upper hand. Now facing Unohana Retsu's sword aura with a light wave, the members of red hair pirates need to gather all of them together to deal with it. When I was a group of people, at the 2nd or 3rd level, there was only one person on the opposite side. I was very happy. However, there is a 15th level opposite. This really stunned the members of red hair pirates. A group of people is still at a disadvantage when fighting against a group of people. Who would believe that this kind of thing spreads out? This is really wrong. Our deputy captain is close to the quasi-admiral's strength. Our captain is even more amazing. In addition, so many of us can't beat her as a woman. How did this happen? I think so, this woman must be the real strongest existence in Gotei 13. That's right, I think so too. I think she can suppress so many of us with the power of one person. There is no doubt that Byakuya Kuchiki must be better than her. We red hair pirates lost to the number 1 Gotei 13, so we won't be wronged. Some children already have the mind to lose and don't have the idea of fighting at all. They feel that they can't win at all, so what else to fight? As long as they are promoted to defeat them, it is the number 1 powerhouse in Gotei 13, and red hair pirates will not lose their face so badly if they want to come to red hair pirates. What are you talking about? Going up with Ben Beckman and others, you abruptly took a sword spirit from Unohana Retsu, and then the red-haired Shanks, who took a step backwards, faced the crew behind him. They roared. It's been so many years, don't everyone understand a truth? As long as you haven't died, then the outcome is undivided. Immediately the red-haired Shanks, Ben Beckman and others rushed up again and collided with Unohana Retsu's sword aura. Unohana Retsu waved his sleeves gently, carrying Reiatsu's terrible sword aura. It collided with the red-haired Shanks, and then the aftermath moved toward the surroundings again. Unohana Retsu knows all the swordsmanship of Soul Society. Kendo reached a level that cannot be upgraded anymore. Unless the worldview changes. Otherwise, in terms of Kendo, she is the ceiling. Aftermath. Going around. Some crew members of red hair pirates had their heads cut off and blood spurted wildly. The pirate group of kid pirates immediately retreated, but the sails had also been chopped off by the aftermath. Even on the marine side not far away, some marines were unable to dodge and lost their lives. A major general also died in the aftermath. Read more at mtlarchive.com. No doubt, his military rank does not depend on strength. But all in all, now, a piece of blood, soaking the sea. The generals on Marine's side stared at each other. Some nobles did not hide, some died. Some have no legs. Some have no hands. What? Redhead Shanks, what did you guys do? Quote. The noble-born generals screamed miserably, feeling that everything was the fault of the red-haired Shanks. I dare not yell at Unohana Retsu. This woman is terrible. Where is a woman? It's a devil at all. Only yelling at the red-haired Shanks, expressing his dissatisfaction. If the red-haired Shanks are useful and can suppress this woman, how can they get hurt? That side. The red-hair pirates cadres who were suppressed by Unohana Retsu felt uncomfortable a long time ago. A group of big men, beaten like this by a woman, now all they can do is to hold on. This kind of thing, it made them feel fire in their hearts. The complaints of the Marines not far away make them even more angry. Do you think the Marine generals are sick? Pirates and Marine are already enemies. They red hair pirates, there is no need to be responsible for them. Quote. Bah, a group of guys who have become high-level Marines relying on their family status, think that the pirates are also their dogs. Quote. Ben Beckman also said uncomfortably. He was also bored at the moment. Normally Ben Beckman would not be like this. Now it's different. A group of people, suppressed by Unohana Retsu, her sword aura, the person called Red Hair Pirates, cannot be approached. Ben Beckman's Seastone bullet missed the opponent even more. His shooting ability was useless at Unohana Retsu. How can this not make him depressed? It's gone. Okay, stop talking. The red-haired Shanks shook his head at this moment and looked at Marine. Some guys wearing the high-level Marine General's coat were involved in the aftermath. He also frowned, finally looked at Unohana Retsu and said, "This is our red hair pirates' battle with you. You don't have to do anything to them." Unohana Retsu said indifferently, "You care about them very much." The redhead Shanks immediately shook his head. "I am a pirate, how can I care about them?" Unohana Retsu ignored it. The corner of her mouth smiled even more plainly. At this moment, another wave. Not sword spirit, it's the sword pressure. With Reiatsu's sword pressure, he broke everything and pressed directly against the red-haired Shanks. This sword pressure is too terrifying. Shanks called the redhead stared, only feeling that he was dead, so close to him. Apply. Chapter 110. Advertise here. This sword pressure is really terrifying. Even the Tautu and Cha dolphins not far away were taken aback. They felt that under the pressure of a sword like this, the three generals would wipe their necks and die, right? Facing the red-haired Shanks who was crushed by the sword, he gritted his teeth, and then performed the strongest slash. However, his powerful slash that was enough to contend with Hawkeye suddenly shattered in front of this sword pressure, and he was not an opponent at all. Looking at this scene, red-haired Shanks stared. Sword pressure arrived. Redhead Shanks has only one thought in his heart at this moment, that is, he will die. Captain, you can't die. Captain, you said that you will let people on the sea get justice and freedom. Captain. In Red Hair Pirates, one after another famous pirates jumped out and stood in front of the red hair. This is true even for Usopp. Usopp tried his best to press the sword and fired a bullet. But what is the use of this? The sword pressed over. A group of pirates, under the pressure of the sword, their bodies turned into nothingness and disappeared. Usopp also died under the sword. The red-haired Shanks survived with the help of the crew, but was also pale and panting. What did you think in your heart when they died for you? Unohana Retsu said faintly, "I can see that you are sad, not as bad as the General Marine just now." The red-haired Shanks's pupils stared. This woman. What is the problem? It seems to be able to see through the mind, killing so many people, but still not caring. What a terrible existence she is. Shanks, the redhead, also knows that he was completely hit by the other party, but things are not that simple. When the noble Marine generals died, Shanks thought of himself. He and the dead noble Marine generals have similar life experiences. They are dead, is it their turn next? When Usopp was waiting to die, he thought of Usopp and others. Of course there is a gap. Stop nonsense. In the pair of Unohana Retsu, cold and merciless, it seems to see through everything. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Redhead Shanks hardened his hair and said, "I am a pirate, how could I be sad for Marine?" Is it? Unohana Retsu said again in a very indifferent tone. At this moment, life seemed to be nothing in her eyes. Right now, she slashed in the direction where Marine was. Boom. With this sword of hers, the entire ocean was immediately divided. With one sword, there is a murderous aura, generated in the space, extremely terrifying. This slash. Too scary. The speed is also desperate. This is how Unohana Retsu learned the redhead slash. No, it's the slash of Pirate World to be precise. She glanced at it and it was done. Right now. Slash away. The piercing sound of slashing air sounded, and the slash cut everything easily, and it was heading towards Marine in an overwhelming manner. Don't. At this moment, the red-haired Shanks couldn't help but scream. He couldn't help it anymore. Seeing someone with the same life experience as myself, dying in front of my own eyes, the red hair is very uncomfortable. Ben Beckman and others were in shock, and didn't realize what the red-haired Shanks was shouting just now. But seeing this slash, it is now heading towards Marine. At this time, those wearing the clothes of major generals and those wearing other high-level Marine generals are already terrified. At this moment, Dao Tutu and T Dolphin are attacked. The swords they wear on their waists are also very promising, even if they are not as good as He Dao Yi, but they can't be much inferior to He Dao's words, Shui Zhou and other things. At this moment, the slashes of the two of them were also slashed out, and the two were merged into one, appearing extremely sharp, and they were heading towards Unohana Retsu slashing. Immediately, the slash and the slash slammed together, as if two islands collided on the sea. It was as terrible as the collision of two islands on the sea, and the indescribable aura tore everything around. Hululu. A harsh sound burst out, and the invisible air began to burst toward the surroundings. The sea kings under the ocean was even scared and hurried to flee here. However, after the joint slash of Tautu and Chado disappeared, Unohana Retsu's slash did not disappear, and it still came quickly toward the warship. Tautu didn't know what to do for a while. At this time, it's time to escape by himself, which means that he can completely avoid this slash, but as for the other marines on this warship, they cannot escape. Ah, do you want to watch them die by yourself? Otherwise, just stay and die with them. Tautu has no confidence that he can block this slash. What are you thinking at this time? For Za Tianyan, he didn't want to care about the life and death of the noble generals like Marine. They were not capable. What kind of Marine Major General, Captain? He confessed to Taotu that he had failed so many times. He didn't want Taotu to die. How could he say that he had to confess to success once? Now he grabbed Taotu's arm and pulled her away, toward another warship went away. And the Marines on this warship also realized something, and all of them paled immediately and yelled in fear, "Oh my God, who can come to save us? I have a lot of gold, I have a lot of beads, I also have a lot of treasures, whoever of you come to save me, I will give it to them. My mother is celestial dragons. Yes, my mother is celestial dragons. I am a wild species of Tianlong. I was born with a mean but good-looking bastard. I was abandoned, but my status is noble. World government still if you admit this, who will save me now?" Under Unohana Retsu's those noble Marines only knew they were screaming one by one, and they didn't dare to resist. I don't even know how to resist. Looking at this scene in front of him, of course the red-haired Shanks wanted to save people, but the red-haired Shanks also knew that his speed was not enough. The red-haired Shanks can only watch this scene. Finally, the warship was completely destroyed under the slash of Unohana Retsu, and the people on the warship disappeared one by one. The blood was spilled, but it was big. The water on the sea is now conspicuously blood red. Why? This is between our red hair pirates and your Gotei 13. What does it have to do with them? They didn't offend you at all. It was me who wanted to fight you and cause the consequences. It has nothing to do with them. Why are you doing this? The red-haired Shanks watched this scene, the blood-red scene, his eyes widened, bloodshot all over his eyeballs, and he wanted to rush up to fight Unohana Retsu desperately. He also regretted it. Why do I have to challenge Unohana Retsu? It turned out to be a matter, and it was impossible to deal with it. Became like this. Ben Beckman and others stayed too. Now they are surprised by two things. First, how could the woman Unohana Retsu become so cruel and ruthless? She just untied her braids, how her temperament was completely changed. This is all about using human lives as a game, using human lives as a toy, having fun, killing. Why can a person change so much? The second thing is his captain, who seems to really care about Marine's situation. Chapter 111. Advertise here. In fact, Ben Beckman has already noticed that the red-haired Shanks has some connection with the world government. However, Ben Beckman believes that the red-haired Shanks will not hurt his brothers when he speaks of loyalty. He also hopes that one day the red-haired Shanks can truly treat them as brothers and be honest about everything. Ben Beckman has been waiting for that day. Therefore, Ben Beckman did not question and ask anything alone, but the performance of the red-haired Shanks at this moment was noticed by other people at Red Hair Pirates. Why do you care about Marine's situation so much? I'm for order. The red-haired Shanks noticed the gazes of the crew behind him when they looked at him, and they became a little different from usual. He said with a serious face, "Why are there so many in the world now? It's not fair. It's because of order. If those noble Marines die, the nobles behind their families will be angry. When you kill me and I kill you, you will have to make trouble. This kind of sea cannot what we are longing for, is it?" Hearing the words of Shanks, the crew of Red Hair Pirates nodded their heads and felt that what the captain said made sense. It seemed that they were thinking too much. At this moment, the 4th division of one of Gotei 13 also watched this scene. Katetsu Azane and the others frowned. They felt that something was wrong, but they seemed to be unable to tell. Unohana Retsu heard Chen Tian's voice at the moment. As a high-spirit king, his voice now appeared in Unohana Retsu's ear, but it seemed to appear in his heart again. If you want to continue to do it, just do it, otherwise the hot-blooded fan will turn into a funny fan, which is funny. Whether it's Shinigami or One Piece, they are all enthusiastic fans, but they also have some funny plots mixed in, and each of them is not as good as their brains, and sometimes they make some jokes. Red Hair Pirates, each of them seem to have become fools at this time, and they all believe the words of Shanks, the red hair. Chen Tian really can't stand it anymore, let Unohana Retsu do it quickly. ... Unohana Retsu nodded, and the sword in her hand continued to swing. Murderous, flooding the sea. The air has become cold and terrible. ... At this moment, the Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin, who have fled to another warship, still have lingering fears on their faces. I thought that the 4th division of Gotei 13 was nothing at all. Who knew that the captain of the 4th division, who seemed to fit in perfectly, suddenly became a terrifying existence? It's incredible. Let's inform the world government. Kacha Dolphin said solemnly now. The changes in the current situation are still beyond our expectations and beyond our control. Taotu nodded, also acknowledging this. At this moment, Naval Headquarters' main combat power has gone to Sky Island, and Taotu wanted to come. At this time, there should be a fierce battle with Seireitei on Sky Island. If the battle is serious, I am afraid that Admiral has also sacrificed. Maybe Marshal Sengoku has sacrificed. Above this sea area, the 4th division doesn't seem to know that Seireitei has been attacked and is still fighting with them here. Taotu took out the phone worm and called it to the general manager of the world government, Gang Gukong. ... This is the highest room in the world government. Kendo 5 Elders is now talking about the current revolutionary army. Now that Seireitei has the Buddha Sengoku and others to deal with it, the most troublesome thing is the revolutionary army. How about it? Is there a way to solve them now? Facing the inquiry of Kendo 5 Elders, Gangukong shook his head at this moment. This is not so easy to solve. Revolutionary army. Dragon is the leader. But here comes the problem. The dragon is dead, and the revolutionary army is still there. This is not a pirate group, the captain is dead, the pirate group may fall apart. The revolutionary army came together because of faith. Gangukong felt that facing the revolutionary army was more difficult to deal with than facing the pirates. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Blue. Just at this time, the phone worm rang. Answer it, Kendo 5 elders said. Gang Bone nodded. Right here, answer the phone worm on the spot. I'm the commander-in-chief of the world government, and I'm empty. Commander, this is the sea area before naval headquarters. We encountered the 4th Division and Red Hair Pirates. Taotu's voice came. As for the kid pirates, has been ignored by Taotu. The 4th Division really went to naval headquarters. Kendo 5 elders startled. Happiness. I feel a little pain in my face. What did he say to Gangukong? The 4th Division is just as capable, go to naval headquarters to die. Find flowers. Unexpectedly, he really went there. Kendo 5 elders snorted. Steel Bone Hollow held back a smile with a serious face, and said, so, the problem at the moment is that naval headquarters doesn't know how to face red hair pirates. Peach Rabbit, I know you are not a red-haired opponent, but it doesn't matter, the hair will not cause much damage to naval headquarters, so. However, before he finished speaking, Taotu interrupted him. No, wrong. Now the biggest crisis of our naval headquarters is not red hair pirates, but Gotei 13's 4th Division, Captain Unohana Retsu. She has incredible power. Now she has completely suppressed red with one person's power. All members of hair pirates are now even more. 0. The following words. Kendo 5 elders, but Gang Bone Kong didn't hear it. They have gone blank in their minds. What? Unohana Retsu. A woman. Suppressed all red hair pirates. Is this true? The captain of the 4th Division of Gotei 13, is also so enchanting and perverted. Can you do this kind of thing? Snapped. Kendo 5 elders felt a pain in their face. Wrong. Thinking of something, Kendo 5 elders coldly looked at the steel skeleton in front of him. It was the steel skeleton. Zephyr saw that Unohana Retsu had no strength. It was only the medical staff, and the Kendo 5 elders despised it. Gangukong took a deep breath. My face hurts. But he never expected such a thing to happen. Right now, Gangukong stood up from his seat without saying a word. I should also be responsible for this matter. The 4th Division is still playing here. It means that the 4th Division doesn't know that Seireitei is currently under attack from naval headquarters, the real combat power. Seireitei is on the Sky Island. Has been discovered by naval headquarters. But the 4th Division still doesn't know this. Right now. Can't let the 4th Division go back to Sky Island. They must be kept. If they go back to Sky Island, they might give Seireitei, who was defeated by naval headquarters on Sky Island, some help. Maybe it will be able to reverse the situation. Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin, you first block Unohana Retsu. I will go over immediately. I want to add me, can deal with each other. Chew on. Chapter 112. Advertise here. Gang Bone stood up from his position, his fierce aura was exposed. Most of the high-level people in the world government are nobles, but they are not the same. He took this position from Martial Marine step by step. He once had the power to shake the sea. Wait a minute, Sora, you are too careless. At this moment, Kendo 5 elders spoke suddenly. Do you think we may still lose to the captain of the 4th Division? If the steel bone is empty, the Kendo 5 elders nodded. You should be more careful. Then, I can't leave the Holy Land Mary Geoise for the time being. Take my sword. Steel bone empty. Unexpectedly, Kendo 5 elders would give this sword that looked like a generation of ghosts to himself. If Seireitei is really a product of blank history, then you should know what my sword was, what kind of name I used to have, and how my sword and my people shocked this ocean. Kendo 5 elders outlines a smile at the corner of his mouth, and hands the sword in his hand to Gangji Yukong. This is the sword of the ancestor. Nowadays, most famous swords are made based on this sword. If Seireitei is a product of blank history, Kendo 5 elders felt that when the opponent saw a sword, they shuddered and retreated automatically. Even if the other party does not recognize this sword. Gang Gukong holding this sword, the power that burst out. Kendo 5 elders don't think it can be played against by the 4th Division, right? I understand. Gang Bone nodded. Just leave. Before naval headquarters. Taotu already understands what the world government's decision is. Let's go together. Temporarily team up with red hair pirates to stop the 4th Division Unohana Retsu, and wait until the coach arrives. The T-Dolphin nodded. He didn't expect that in his lifetime, there would be one day to join forces with the pirates. No doubt, Shanks, the redhead, seems to be different from other pirates. Right now, Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin jumped away one by one, and approached Unohana Retsu on the moonwalk. Ben Beckman and others were already under Unohana Retsu's sword, shaking, barely resisting. Seeing the arrival of two characters close to Admiral at Marine at this time, they wondered what Marine really wanted to do. Don't worry, they are here to help us. We are working with Marine temporarily. Observation hockey of Shanks, the redhead, noticed that Taotu used the phone bug to contact the world government. What? But we are pirates after all. Yes, with Marine, how can you? The red hair pirates crew members were talking, frowning. They didn't expect this to happen, but they were interrupted by the red-haired Shanks. When is it now? The crew of red hair pirates can only nod their heads. With two quasi-admiral characters working together, in this case, it may not be impossible to win. Redhead Shanks took a deep breath. When Dao Tu and Cha Dolphin are on the offensive, they are also facing Yu Xian. The red-haired Shanks also raised the famous knife Griffin in his hand, and now all his power is gathered on it. Then, the red-haired Shanks was filled with incredible aura. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The surrounding ocean seemed to feel something, and the waves were rolling again. The crew of red hair pirates knows their captain, they are going to make a full blow. This is an all-out slash. Should it be effective? It must be effective. Our captain is actually very strong, above the four emperors. I think the strength of our captain is still above that of Whitebeard, Kaido and Anti. Quote. That side. Unohana Retsu's sword blocked Tautu's famous sword Jinpyra. With the sword intent on Unohana Retsu's body, when the Peach and Rabbit were forced to fight, she always felt that she could not exert her 100% strength. Tautu didn't expect women to be so tough. The T-Dolphin is not even close yet. After Unohana Retsu blocked Jinpyro, the sword stabbed forward, and the forced T-Dolphin had to retreat. She raises her hands. Resolve the two quasi-admiral level offensives. Leave me all the way. At this time, the redhead Shanks yelled. A blood-red slash, with unmatched power, split everything and came towards this side. This slash, across the space, rubbed blood-red lightning. When I saw this slash, I was shocked. As a master of swordsmanship, Tautu has to sigh that his slash is definitely not as good as the red-haired Shanks. The crew of red hair pirates became even more excited. This full-scale slash, even if the captain of his own could not perform a few times in a day. But if you use it, it will definitely have an effect. Facing such a terrible slash, Kaido, the beast, even if it turns into a dragon, has to avoid it. Boom. Blood-red slash. Soon. Slash and came to Unohana Retsu. Unohana Retsu watched this scene plainly. The sword in her hand was also slashed, and her slashes looked far less fierce and terrifying than the red-haired blood-red slashes. Next moment, the two slashes directly collided together. With the point of impact as the center, a terrifying aftermath that destroys everything is swept away. The warship began to be disconnected by Yuzan. The pirate ship of the redhead pirate ship was directly damaged. The pirate ship like Kid was even more vulnerable, completely shattered. Kid fell into the sea. This moment, the sea shakes. Thousands of miles away, there are huge fluctuations. Look at the sky again. The force of the impact, the clouds above the sky, have a huge impact. A huge vortex was created. The sound of sonic boom is endless. The sea kings in the deep sea were all dizzy and tinnitus. The tiny fish were shaken to death alive, and their bodies surfaced. Our captain must have succeeded. Correct. Our captain's slash will not be lost to anyone. Listening to the voices of the crew, the red-haired Shanks panted, but still smiled, of course. But the next moment, the crew of red-hair pirates could not call anymore. The smile at the corner of Shanks's mouth, the redhead, also stiffened. But watching that blood-red slash collided with Unohana Retsu's slash. After contending for a while, click. As a matter of fact, slight cracks appeared. The sound is crisp. It was like the sound of glass breaking. Then the sound got louder and louder. The cracks began to spread. Suddenly, the blood red slashed and collapsed every inch. Redhead Shanks stared. Impossible. My full blow, isn't it in this woman's eyes that it's nothing at all? When the red-haired Shanks was surprised, Unohana Retsu's sword, at some point, had already come to the red-haired Shanks. Do not. Chapter 113. Advertise here. Do not. At this moment, the red-haired Shanks faced the oncoming sword, and couldn't help but widen his eyes. The speed of Unohana Retsu's sword was too fast. The lightning flashed by, and the red-haired Shanks found himself now he was out of breath, unable to react at all, and his body was too tired to make the necessary movements and reactions. Finally, the sword light flashed by, the red-haired Shanks got his neck, blood was splashing, the arteries in the neck had been completely cut off, and the pupils of the red-haired Shanks began to dilate. There is a strong unwillingness in his eyes. He still has a great blueprint to realize. Luffy has just gone to sea, and he and 5 elders are preparing to cooperate. There is a big thing that must be done between them, but nothing thinking that the cooperation hadn't started yet, he was actually going to die here. Captain. The crew of Ben Beckman and other red-hair pirates screamed when they saw this scene, and their tone was filled with waves of anger. The captain of his own family was cut off his neck alive in front of him. This kind of thing was too insulting to Ben Beckman and others. But the sword in Unohana Retsu's hand did not stop there. Now her killing intent seemed to be about to begin, and the murderous aura immediately filled the surroundings, making everyone feel that their scalp 18 was numb, and their souls were trembling with fear. I said long ago, don't fight with the captain, but why don't you listen? Kotetsu Azane now roared towards the surroundings, now that he regrets it, is it too late? The captain of his own has a history of killing, coupled with the spiritual power that the Spirit King puts in the captain's body, the two are combined into one, and the killing intent born is afraid that the captain will completely fight for a long time. You can calm down. Hearing Kotetsu Azane's words, the crew of red-hair pirates looked at each other and regretted each other to the extreme. When Unohana Retsu was still gentle, they urged their captain to fight her, and now they regret it, and their intestines are all regretful. My red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, died like this. Tautu stared at the scene in front of her in a daze. Shanks' corpse was still there, with his head and body separated. World, like the sun that never sets, made naval headquarters hurt his head. There was no way at all, but he didn't expect that the red-haired Shanks would die like this now. You don't know whether his death is good or bad for us. T-Dolphin said in a rather complicated tone. At this moment on a pirate ship, Luffy was sleeping with Hulalala. In the days on the ocean, he either ate or slept when he was fine during the day. Now Luffy suddenly felt something and suddenly opened his eyes. Look in one direction. What's wrong with you? Sanji looked at Luffy from the side and looked a little weird, so he couldn't help but asked. Luffy's face was serious, so gloomy that it seemed to drip. I don't know what happened, but I think it's very sad. In the waters before naval headquarters, Tautu and T-Dolphin looked at each other, knowing that now they have to hold the 4th division, and they can't be allowed to return to Seireitei on the Sky Island. They will have to be dragged until the coach gang Gukon arrives. What? This seems to be a difficult thing to do, and now, the soldiers will win. The crew of the Red Hair Pirates had their eyes split, angrily as if their eyes were about to start to breathe fire, and they were all ready to fight Maoji. Looking at this scene, Tautu felt that there was still hope. Hope that the terrible war on the Sky Island is over. After Tautu sighed, she rushed forward again with her own famous knife, and could not let Unohana Retsu return to the Sky Island. If she went back, Seireitei would have such a powerful combat force. The outcome was reversed. Now, the Buddha Sengoku and others did not know that this happened in the sea below. Now, Ainalu was caught by Akainu. Ainalu took them to find resources, replenish warships, and leave the island. Ainalu felt that he was quite depressed. He was beaten for no reason. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Right now, this group of people said it was his fault and asked him to join naval headquarters as a slave to make up for the debt of naval headquarters. Ainalu really wants to say, this is my shit. However, he couldn't say it at all. Having said that, I will only be beaten. With Thunder Fruit, I thought I had power close to God. But I didn't expect that among the group of people in front of me, there are too many people who are better than me. But what can we do now? Take them to find fuel. Otherwise, give them the proverbs of your own arc. This time the Sky Island incident, no one is allowed to talk about it. The Buddha Sengoku is now saying this to the Marines behind him. His expression is extremely embarrassed. He thinks Seireitei is on the Sky Island and is going to fight, but he didn't expect to end up like this. If this kind of thing is spread out, naval headquarters will be laughed alive by people on the sea, right? Relax, of course we won't say it. Yes, we won't even say it. The Marines who followed behind said one by one, who could say such a shameful thing? And why did they become so embarrassed? For a while, many people looked at Akainu. Akainu, who usually has a stern face, doesn't seem to even smile, but at this moment, he still has that cold face. He clenched his fists. Lava, wrapped fists. He also knows that he is ashamed, but can he be blamed for this kind of thing? This seems to be the analysis of Pluto Rayleigh. He Akainu just spoke out the views of Pluto Rayleigh. After analysis by Sengoku of Buddha and others, they also think it is quite possible, even 90%, everyone believes that Seireitei is undoubtedly on the Sky Island. Who is to blame when things turn out to be like this? What we have to do now is not to blame anyone, but to go back immediately. Sengoku of Buddha yells, Seireitei, it's so mysterious. Not on the Sky Island, where would it be? The sea is so vast, but in many places, naval headquarters knows that there is absolutely no building like Seireitei. Seireitei, where is it so hard to find? Brew, brew, brew. At this moment, the phone worm of Sengoku, the Buddha, screamed, making Sengoku and others very happy. After arriving at the Sky Island, this phone worm seemed a bit unacceptable, making him want to contact the naval headquarters below, but he couldn't do it. The Buddha's Sengoku just took out the phone worm, and the voice of the hollow steel frame came intermittently. War. Sengoku. Hurry up and defeat Seireitei, don't be afraid, fear of sacrifice. Organizations like Seireitei disrupt the order of the world government and must be punished. The 4th Division is now in naval headquarters in the sea area before, you can rest assured, leave it to me. You fight with peace of mind. I won't let the 4th Division go back to the Sky Island, you remember to win. Quote. The signal was not good and it was intermittent. When I said this, Sengoku's phone worm fainted again. Sengoku and others. After this time, how should I explain it? Chapter 114. Advertise here. Sengoku of Buddha wanted to contact Gengukon again, but couldn't get in touch anymore. The phone worm was not adapted to the climate here in the sky. At this moment, the Buddha Sengoku stood sluggishly. Since calling himself Martial Marine, I have never faced such an embarrassing moment. The steel bones are empty, leading the army of the world government at this moment, eagerly heading towards the sea area in front of the naval headquarters. To be honest, he hasn't fought for a long time. At this moment, he seems to have ignited the fire of blood. Sengoku, my side will definitely win, and your side must win. Although not much is known about Seireitei, as long as it can be destroyed, other secrets are not important. World government, in the highest room. The other 4 or 5 elders have also returned from Pangu City. As soon as they came back, they found that the ancestor sword in the hands of Kendo 5 elders had disappeared. It looks like something happened. 5 elders, who was wearing a black suit, with white curly hair, a fluffy white beard, a flat hat on his head, and a scar on his left face, said in surprise. Something happened. When we went to meet the adult, a very powerful organization appeared outside, called Seireitei. Sengoku of Buddha and others suspected that this organization was. The other 5 elders listened quietly, and the more they listened, their brows frowned. The man wearing a dark red suit, no tie, blonde hair and a golden beard said depressed, "Is there such a thing in the forces that were once XXED by us?" The other 5 elders shook their heads and didn't remember at all. No need to think too much. The bald-headed Kendo 5 elders continued to speak, and said leisurely, "The Buddha Sengoku and others have figured out that Seireitei is hiding on the Sky Island. Haha, that place is really mysterious, but it's nothing, it's not easy. Seireitei's offense, thinking about it, should be able to destroy Seireitei. At present, the 4th division is nothing. I handed the sword to Gangukong to deal with the 4th division's woman. I think they will disappear soon. Yes, what we should care about right now is Master Yim's attitude." The other 5 elders nodded. In fact, the Revolutionary Army, pirates or something, is nothing at all. It's just a little trouble. The problem is the attitude of Lord Yim. Lord Yim is the referee. Who does she want to win? Who can win? Wearing a dark blue suit, with long straight white hair, and a beard is the longest among 5 elders. 5 elders has already said, "Drink at the bar. If you want to come and finish drinking, Gangukong should also be back." The remaining 5 elders nodded. Seireitei or something. Trivial. I don't care anymore. Started drinking, waiting for the return of the steel bones. The waters before naval headquarters. Because of the death of Red Hair, Ben Beckman and others decided to cooperate with Marines such as Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin. Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin engage in close combat. The general crew of Red Hair pirates naturally rushed forward. Ben Beckman and so on, chose to be a blind contract, on the sidelines and become a shooter. Whenever there is a chance, he will shoot. For a time, the crowds were densely packed. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Unohana Retsu is good at various genres. Her sword. There is that style, and there is this style. A sword is faster than a sword, between the electric light and flint. Jangwang flashed past. Everything in front of you. Air, space, body, split into 2, with blood splashing. Almost all the water in this sea area showed a strange bloody smell. Now, Unohana Retsu's sword collided with Taotu's Kimpira again. The terrible pressure of the sword caused Taotu's entire body to fly upside down. It was not an opponent at all. Peach Rabbit, are you okay? The T-Dolphin yelled anxiously, but what's the use? Before the T-Dolphin reacted, Unohana Retsu's sword has come. Too fast, it's fascinating. This sword scared the T-Dolphin only feels a cold breath rushing to the sky. Armament hockey. Bang bang bang. Ben Beckman knows that the T-Dolphin is also an important combat force and can no longer die. Now the Seastone bullets, which are extremely fast, carry a terrifying aura, and hit Unohana Retsu's sword. The T-Dolphin still did not escape. The sword light flashed by. The T-Dolphin's chest was torn apart, but it was a soil-like body. Obviously, this is a certain devil fruit ability. But the T-Dolphin still did not escape the attack. His face was pale, he felt hurt wherever he was, and he hurried back. Soul. T-Dolphin can't help but think of this. It's incredible, I don't want to admit it. One corpse, then another corpse fell. Red Hair pirates, many people have already died. Use human lives to pile up. But it still didn't kill Unohana Retsu. This woman, she looks indifferent, and when she is gentle, she is different. Strong makes people tremble. Quote. Can we really win against such a woman? Quote. Let Whitebeard come. Whitebeard will be killed too, right? Yeah, we are not rivals at all. Quote. The terrifying aura on Unohana Retsu's body, powerful strength, and that cold-blooded means. The people who were there could not help but feel frustrated, so let's wait for death. If they have the strength of Whitebeard and want to escape, there is hope, but how can they have the strength of Whitebeard? Sometimes, the frustration is contagious. Even Ben Beckman shook his head. What should I do now? Rely on resourcefulness. But resourcefulness is really nothing in front of absolute strength. Everyone at Red Hair Pirates, please work hard, wait for the arrival of Commander Sora, and that's it. Taotu shouted. She hasn't given up hope yet. Ben Beckman's eyes lit up. At this moment, I have to say, too ironic, the commander of the world government, the hope of Red Hair Pirates. Before this, Ben Beckman and other pirates really didn't even dare to think about it. Ben Beckman waited for a deep breath before deciding to go again. Unohana Retsu's face was cold, or numb, it was a very cold and terrifying expression. When she was tender, the mature, female, dignified smile disappeared. She seemed fearless. At this moment, boom. Not far away, warships have broken through the waves, and the sea seems to be divided quickly. Taotu's eyes gleamed. Knowing that the steel bones are coming, she shouted, now we have hope to defeat her. Hope. Unohana Retsu said nothing. At the moment, what appeared in the ear was the voice of Spirit King Chen Tian. Are you going to apply for everything? Unohana Retsu's tone was indifferent. At this moment, she would not smile at anyone, and said, then do you want to see everything? Chapter 115. Advertise here. If you want to see everything, it depends on whether they have such qualifications. Unohana Retsu faintly responded to Chen Tian's words, and then her gaze turned to the densely packed world government warships coming here. Great, Commander, it's finally here. Yes, when the commander comes, it looks like we will all be all right. My life seems to be saved. I wanted to escape, but now it seems that I don't need it at all. Marine was rejoicing at the moment. A group of guys who were about to escape stopped, but now they want to see how Unohana Retsu lost. As everyone knows, if you don't go when you should go, sometimes you will regret it. Ben Beckman of Red Hair Pirates also breathed a sigh of relief. The commander-in-chief of the world government will not come again. Whether it is Red Hair Pirates or naval headquarters, the army will be killed by this terrible woman. How do we say we are all pirates? Are we going to run away? A crew member of Red Hair Pirates asked Ben Beckman nervously. The red-haired Shanks was dead at this time. The current leader of this pirate group is naturally Ben Beckman, deputy captain. Deputy Captain Ben Beckman, although he does not have the power of Devil Fruit, but his pistol technique plus Shanghai Luxi's bullets is magical, and his strength is also close to Admiral. With wisdom, Admiral can still do it with wisdom. Owned. We don't need to run away. Ben Beckman felt that the red-haired Shanks must have some connection with the world government. Although Ben Beckman didn't want to admit this, it was true, even if the red-haired Shanks went to see 5 elders. I'm afraid that 5 elders will also be willing to meet the red-haired Shanks, instead of killing the red-haired Shanks as the 4 emperors. Ben Beckman has always felt that there is such a possibility. The deputy captain said this to them, and the crew naturally nodded their heads and stood by and watched the scene quietly. Don't worry, since the old man is here, then you will all be in peace. The steel bone warship is still far away, but his voice has resounded through this space, and his loud voice is as fierce as a lion. He used to be Marine Marshal, his strength is of course needless to say, and now his eyes are finally Unohana Retsu, a woman with long hair, who exudes a terrible aura, her brows are frowning. Don't you know that Seireitei has been almost wiped out by Marine's real combat power at this moment? You are still arguing here. After feeling the breath of Unohana Retsu, Genryūsai knew that he wanted to defeat this woman, fearing that it would be difficult, so he spoke first, the more he wanted to use words to influence Unohana Retsu's mind. What? Seireitei is under attack. The members of the 4th Division looked at each other, feeling that this is simply impossible. How can people in this world have the opportunity to go to Seireitei, unless they are dead? And seeing a group of people in the 4th Division, the current expression is not the kind of expression that they showed when they lost their homes, but a rather weird expression, which made Genryūkong frown slightly. Many soldiers on the warship also speculated that Tautu and T-Dolphin both had a different mind. No one knows how strong Seireitei's Spirit King is, but the strength of Unohana Retsu is truly strong. It seems that he has reached the first place in Gotei 13. If you want to come to this Unohana Retsu, you also want Seireitei to be destroyed. In this way, she can rebuild Seireitei and become the true first existence of Seireitei. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Have to say, the expression of the 4th Division team changed, and the people present couldn't help but think of this. Interesting, it's really interesting. In this world, there is no organization, there is no contradiction in it, and there is always peace. It seems that Gotei 13 is the same. Steel bones are empty. Sora is a very strong old man with a broad chest, tawny skin, and white hair and beard shaped like the word, mountain. There is a stitched scar under his left eye. He is wearing a sleeveless black shirt decorated with medals, showing his arm muscles, dark green armbands, a pale yellow scarf around his neck, and a white and dark gray coat. The ocean on his shoulders. The Marine Admiral and Marine Admiral with similar epaulets are completely covered in yellow as the standard color. Now he said. But whether it's Seireitei, who is almost destroyed at this moment, or your 4th squad, after all, they will not escape the punishment of the world government law. Following his words, Gang Bone grunted, covers armament hockey all over. But it's different from other people's armament hockey. The color is close to the color of steel. Genryūkong didn't use the sword given to him by the Kendo 5 elders at the beginning. He stretched out his hand, and then drew out the bones from his body, which covered armament hockey and became a steel bone. Genryūkong looked at Unohana Retsu in front of him, and there was a fighting spirit in his eyes. It's been a long time since I started. It's been a long time since I fought. I miss this feeling a bit. Suddenly, a vigorous aura that seemed to have been suppressed for a long time, fluctuating, burst out from the hollow body of steel in an instant. This breath is so strong. It made people's complexion changed, not at all under the red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, or even above Shanks. So strong. He is so old, can he be so strong? Seeing the sudden explosion of Genryūkong, on the red-hair pirate's side, many pirates screamed. Of course he is very strong. He became Marine Marshal from Marine Admiral, and then became the Commander-in-Chief of the world government. He relied on his own combat power to become strong step by step. Ben Beckman solemnly said to the crew. Woke up on this matter. His Devil Fruit ability is suspected. Bone Fruit, coupled with powerful armament hockey and physical skills, is really difficult. Peach Rabbit and T-Dolphin also stepped up the moonwalk one by one, to the left and right sides of the steel bone hollow. Gang Bone nodded. Go together. The steel skeleton moved empty. That's all. Unohana Retsu had a pair of plain eyes, but there was no fluctuation due to the strength of the hollow steel, nor did he feel any surprises. She snorted. Raising the sword, the sharp sword light suddenly condenses and takes shape between the blue sky and the sea. In the blink of an eye, another sword slashed up. My defense, I can't be destroyed by you. Facing Unohana Retsu's attack, Genryūsai now grinned, confident in his defense. Suddenly, a bone shield appeared in front of him, covering armament hockey, which collided with Unohana Retsu's slash. For a time, the tyrannical aftermath broke out in an instant. Chapter 116. Advertise here. Of course, the defense of Genryūsai should not be underestimated, but it has to be said that Genryūsai still underestimated the tyranny of Unohana Retsu's sword pressure. The moment of impact. Sword pressure is the attitude of destroying the dead, and it is tearing the defensive shield of the hollow steel. Is it possible to be sharp to such an extent? Now Genryūsai only feels that if he doesn't escape quickly, he is afraid that he will die under the opponent's sword. Thinking of this, the steel bone walked on the moonwalk and left here very quickly. The steel bone empty figure, passing through the afterimage, can't even be seen by the naked eye of ordinary people. As the commander-in-chief of the world government, his moonwalk has naturally reached a very advanced stage. His speed is still above Tautu and T-Dolphin. However, he did not completely avoid it. Genryūsai only felt that the sword was crushed. When I was in space, the sword wind I brought up was like a blade, hurting myself. Called Genryūsai was shocked and angry, and he realized that there was a huge gap between himself and Unohana Retsu. Unohana Retsu shook his head, seemingly disappointed with the capabilities of the steel-bonded air, and waved it casually, and suddenly a sword was pressed like a tide, and it was pressed against the steel-boned air again. Steel Bone Hollow's fist clenched tightly, and with a direct punch, he smashed it towards the sword go. Armed color covers the fist, and at the same time uses the power of the bone fruit, with a click a sound. At the time of the impact, Gangbone Kong's fist bends. Obviously, the bones were hurt in the face of the head, and such a heavy blow also shook the steel bone upside down, and finally slammed into a warship. The force was even tough. The warships were shocked with terrible cracks. So this is the strength of our captain. Most of the members of the 4th Division don't know how strong Unohana Retsu can be. They have never seen their captain fight before, but they didn't expect their captain to become more powerful, can be so powerful. Beyond everyone's imagination. Yes, this is our captain Unohana, Katetsu Azane said. Compared with the atmosphere of the 4th Division, the Red Hair Pirates and Naval Headquarters have a heavy and low atmosphere. They frowned one by one, secretly saying that the commander of the world government just lost like that. His strength may surpass the red-haired Shanks, but it is not much higher. I don't think things ended like this. What did Ben Beckman notice? Said immediately. Sure enough, Ben Beckman had a vision that no one else had, but now that Genryūsai stood up a little embarrassed, and then he grabbed the ancestor's sword held by marine soldiers for him. This may really be the first. Let's take the ghost torture. At this moment, he slowly pulled out the sword, and suddenly a thick bloody mist gushed out from the blade, with a trace of fishy air, and obviously a lot of people died under this sword. Genryūsai stood up and stared at Unohana Retsu not far away with a grim look, and said hoarsely, I haven't fought for too long. Now I am not your opponent at all, but I can force me to pull out this generation of ghosts. You really have the ability. Gotei 13's 4th team Unohana Retsu, I remember you, but the matter is over. Murderous look. From the terrifying sword body of a generation of ghosts, it continuously spewed out, but looking at the sword body, there was a cold light glowing, which was very terrifying. The steel bone holding this sword, his breath, in an instant, amidst everyone's shocked eyes, continued to climb. Today's steel-bonded hollowness has not changed from the previous appearance, but there is a world of difference in aura or something. A generation of ghosts. Tautu was also surprised when he looked at the steel bone hollow. First generation Guido belongs to the monster knife, one of the 12 masters of the supreme big knife. The strongest existence in the Ghost Toru series, the series' 2nd generation Ghost Toru and 3rd generation Ghost Toru are respectively, Big Kuei Dao 21 Gong, and Kui 2, 3rd generation Gui 2 is not one of the Liang Kuei Dao 50 Gong. Unexpectedly, a generation of ghosts will appear in Genryūsai's hands. What is even more unexpected is that a generation of ghosts has such power. It seems like everything is in the middle of nowhere. It seems that Hyaki Yako has gathered again. It's terrible, just looking at it, I feel my body is shaking. Ben Beckman is close to Admiral's strength, but now his voice is trembling uncontrollably. Others are even more unbearable. Everyone looked pale and their legs were trembling. Read more at mtlarchive.com. A generation of ghosts. Among the supreme knives, the most evil existence. I didn't expect to be here today, appearing. We can win. T-Dolphin couldn't help but speak at this time. It's set to win. Tautu said on his own. Find flowers. The members of the 4th Division also perceive a generation of ghosts, entangled with a lot of grievances. This world is very strange. No one buries these undead souls. Now those undead are entangled in the sword body. This sword is already a complete ghost sword. Our captain, will you lose? A girl from the 4th Division said nervously. At this moment, Red Hair Pirates side, and Marines side, the aura is rising. ... They seem to be really happy. Unohana Retsu heard Chen Tian's voice again. Of course Unohana Retsu also noticed the happy marine at the moment, as well as the people from Red Hair Pirates. She just wanted to go to naval headquarters to get some medical equipment, but she didn't expect such a thing to happen. Now, Gangukong has come towards Unohana Retsu, with an irresistible generation of ghosts. Murderous, flooding the space. Everything is shaking. Next moment, when a generation of ghosts is about to end up with Unohana Retsu. It's all done. This is the language of Bankai. Just two simple words. When the two words fall. Boom. Suddenly the steel-boned eyes widened in astonishment. Suddenly, a terrible space appeared. Everything is bleeding. The blade of Unohana Retsu is bleeding. Single quote. Everything around is oozing terrible blood. Warships, pirate ships, sea water, etc., all seem to be bleeding. Now, everyone is silent. This is a scene that is difficult to describe in words. What they saw in their eyes seemed to be only blood. Holding a generation of ghostly steel bones, it is precisely to perceive the extremely dangerous aura. He seemed to feel the generation of ghosts in his hand, all trembling suddenly. Right now, when Gangu Sora looked at Unohana Retsu again, she found her, turned into a terrifying skeleton. There is terrible blood all around. It seems that everything is blood. No one knows what happened. In the world of blood, there is a trembling of the soul. At last, what? A scream rang. The winner is finally determined. Chew on. Chapter 117. Advertise here. Commander. Looking at the figure lying on the ground in embarrassment at the moment, everyone reacted one by one. When I saw Gangukong collapse to the ground now, the peach rabbit, the tea dolphin, and the others were all one by one. She screamed, and her voice was unconfident. Under those screams, Gangukong's face flushed, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. At the same time, other parts of his body were also spurting blood. No, to be precise, the other parts also turned into blood, the same as it begins to melt and dissolve. Everything around is bleeding. This scene is really terrifying. Gangukong didn't even know how he was defeated just now, he only knew that he saw blood. I also saw Unohana Retsu in front of him turn into bones and saw terrible scenes, and then he was defeated. The battle with Unohana Retsu's Bankai was too painful and terrible. It was totally unbearable for the body or the spirit. He also knew that his life was about to end at this moment, but he still exhausted his last strength and roared. Yes, I lost, but even if you are strong, you can't go back to the Sky Island. The destruction of Seireitei is already doomed. In this case, we have one win and one loss, and the outcome is not divided, but your strength has been exposed. The strongest existence in Gotei 13, Unohana Retsu, you can't win forever. Gangukong couldn't say any more when he said this, he turned into blood and disappeared. All this is blood red. This is a bloody world. The cavitation of the steel bone turns into blood, everything turns into blood, nothing is over, the steel bone dies in the air, but the warship is still turning into blood, the marine soldiers are turning into blood, and the pirates of Red Hair Pirates are turning into blood. For blood. Under the blade, all is blood. The terrible scene shocked everyone. This is the Spirit Palace. Chen Tian has already seen Unohana Retsu's 10,000 realms, all are exhausted. This is indeed a terrible force. Many people say that Unohana Retsu's Bankai, before Aizen merged with Hogyoku, could not be Unohana Retsu Bankai's opponent. Aizen may have known that his method cannot hide from Unohana Retsu. There was a day that was exposed, so he made preparations in advance, that is, preparations for leaving. Among the captains of Gotei 13, where exactly can Unohana Retsu rank? There is no doubt that it cannot be the weakest. All turned everything into blood. This of course also brought waves of shocking points to Chen Tian. Ding, congratulations on getting Peach Rabbit's 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations to your Tea Dolphin 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting Ben Beckman 10,000 shock points. Ding, congratulations on getting 10,000 shock points. Finally, the system's voice rang again after a pause. Ding, congratulations, you are only one step away and unlock the character Yamamoto Genryūsai. Close black lens bracket. In fact, ding, the mission is 70% complete. Congratulations on getting one of the two major disciples of Yamamoto Genryūsai, Jashiro Yukitake. Chen Tian, him. To be honest, Jashiro Yukitake does not seem to have won. What is this character like? Ding, congratulations on getting the 13th division, read more at mtlarchive.com. The 13th division, but there are many familiar Shinigami. For example, Rukia Kuchiki. She is a member of the 13th division. In addition, there are Katsubuki Sentaro, Sugaya Zenisuke, Yuki Ryunosuke and so on. Congratulations on unlocking the 13th division team house. Like other team houses, the 13th division's team house also accommodates the 13th division Shinigami's office and living area. The team house is in the outskirts, and the team leader's room is a pavilion on the river named Yugantang. Bamboos, grasses, flowers and trees are planted on the river embankment, just like a garden, and the front door is covered by bamboo curtains. Jashiro lives here all year round. The pond around Yugantang is full of koi stolen by Kusajishi Yakiru from the Kuchiki mansion. There is an open space behind the team house where Rukia used to conduct special training. The 13th division, is there a chance for them to play now? Chen Tian thought for a while and looked at the pirate world. Above the sea, some of them are bleeding. Just when Tautu and others couldn't escape bad luck, Unohana Retsu, suddenly, fell down. I don't know it's because of some side effects. It's because Chen Tian's Reiatsu, combined with her Reiatsu, caused her discomfort. But anyway, she fell down. Dao Tu and others breathed. The feeling of the rest of their lives after the catastrophe, they will never forget them in their entire lives. Too many people died, you can't even find the corpse, everything you see is blood. A group of them seems to have gone through a war, rather than fighting against one person. Unohana Retsu, it's terrible. Even fell down. No one dared to do anything to her. I was afraid of doing anything, she woke up again, and then. It's just the current situation, what should we do? The 4th Division, supporting Unohana Retsu, continued to move towards naval headquarters. Stop fighting, all we want is medical equipment. Katetsu Azane said, we didn't want to fight at the beginning. It was the so-called red-haired Shanks who kept pushing, so it became like this. Peach rabbits, T-dolphins, and some surviving world government soldiers, marine soldiers looked at the 3 or 4 people who survived red-hair pirates one by one. Correct. The huge red-hair pirates, now there are so few people left. This is something that no one would have thought of. Ben Beckman waited and bowed his head one by one, and for a while, there was a sense of facelessness. Yup, at the beginning, Katetsu Azane shouted, don't let their captain fight. Is red-hair pirates not listening? That led to such a terrible result. Redhead Shanks, steel bone empty. These 2 famous figures in the sea have paid a heavy price for this reason. What should I do now? Watch them go to naval headquarters. Cha Dolphin has a pale face, and his tone is still trembling. Tautu shook his head, she didn't know what to do anymore. Perhaps, the war on the Sky Island, Marine won. But they lost the war here. Now, a phone worm crawled to the feet of Tautu, this phone worm is very peculiar. This is a phone worm that can communicate with 5 elders. Tautu remembered Lieutenant General Crane, once told himself the types of phone bugs. None of us can figure out what's going on here. It's time to ask them. Originally, Tautu was not qualified to talk to 5 elders directly, but now things have become like this, there is no way. Is it war? Is N? Still is. Chapter 118. Advertise here. At this moment, among the Holy Land Mary Geoise, 5 elders, in the eyes of many people, the world's highest authority, are tasting wine. They no longer asked female workers to call worms to contact the army that went out of the world government, because in their opinion, it is already obvious who the victory belongs to. Just at this time, brew, a special big phone bug rang. Kendo 5 elders couldn't help but smile when he saw this. It seems that Sora is about to convey good news to us. The other 5 elders also nodded. Sengoku, the Buddha, destroyed Seireitei on the Sky Island. Steel Bone killed the 4th division that Seireitei had been out of. This is indeed a big victory. If you deal with the pirates, you can deal with the revolutionary army like this. One of the 5 elders said, Sora did such a thing, we always have to praise a few words, don't you say it. The other 5 elders nodded. Kendo 5 elders said, holding my 1st generation of ghosts in his hands, those 4th divisions will not be opponents at all. While saying this, he 18 got through the phone worm. This is the sea area before naval headquarters, I am Peach Rabbit. Kendo 5 elders nodded. Peach Rabbit, that is Gion. Gang Bone Kong, have already reported. What's the matter? Sora, this guy, afraid that I will take back the 1st generation of ghosts, really asked you to contact me. He fought a victory, my generation of ghosts, you can let him take more. Kendo 5 elders' tone was ridiculous. Sometimes you can't treat your subordinates just like you treat a dog. Even if you have a dog, you have to give some bones. Sometimes, let the subordinates feel that they really treat you as a friend. And the Tautu on the phone worm's voice could not help but take a deep breath, and said, no, Lord 5 elders, Commander Gangukong, he has sacrificed. Holy Land Mary Geoise, in this supreme room. Because of this sentence in the phone worm. Quiet. Silence. Silence is death. The 5 elders all wondered if they had heard something wrong. Although they had been in good health for so many years, they always felt that their bodies were suddenly ill, and they were a little more normal than this news. This news is also ridiculous. Does this Tautu know what he is talking about? The atmosphere became weird at this moment. Calm. The one with the most fluffy beard and the most majestic one, 5 elders, now said, his voice, like thunder, shocked the audience, as if it had the power to calm people's hearts. Kendo 5 elders and others nodded. Right now, Kendo 5 elders took the phone worm and asked again, really? Didn't Sora pull out my generation of ghosts? Read more at mtlarchive.com. It turned out that the 1st generation of ghosts belonged to 5 elders. The Peach Rabbit on the phone worm learned about this, and also secretly said that the generation of ghosts and murderousness was really dead, and how many people were entangled in it. This is not a grievance that can accumulate in 200 years. But Tautu replied, no, Marshal Sora has actually pulled out a generation of ghosts. Holy place Mary Geoise's room. The 5 elders stopped talking. Something is not normal. Gangukong's strength, coupled with a generation of ghosts, is absolutely invincible. How could it be possible to lose to a woman? Kendo 5 elders took a deep breath and said, is that woman stronger? Yes, it is. In the phone bug, Tautu's voice seemed very solemn. Even if he didn't understand what he had seen before, but in the bloody world, the feeling of fear that the soul trembled, no matter what, I can't forget it. After recovering, Tautu asked, now, please instruct. Kendo 5 elders pondered for a while and said, where is the woman from the 4th division? Nothing happened. He felt that even that woman could defeat the steel-boned Kong who held a generation of ghosts. I'm afraid it's a terrible victory. Paid a lot. She is dizzy at the moment. Tautu said what she had seen. Kendo 5 elders sneered. Secretly, it really is so. He felt that the opponent must have finally defeated Gangukong, but he was also injured by the power of a generation of ghosts. The opponent's strength is not stronger than holding a bag of ghostly steel bones. 1. It is also a tragic victory. Now please 5 elders instructions. Kendo 5 elders and the other 5 elders looked at each other. Kendo 5 elders pondered for a while, then said, launch an attack. I will give an order to let Zephyr rush away. This guy seems to be training his students in the nearest sea area. Yes. Tautu nodded. The Spirit Palace. Chen Tian's eyes have seen what happened in the Holy Land. Mary Geoise. 5 elders' attitude changed. The tone of 5 elders. Can't hide it from Chen Tian. Now, a smile was drawn at the corner of his mouth, and then he clapped his hands. Jashiro Yukatake, Rukia Kuchiki, etc., members of the 13th Division, appeared here. The power of Reiatsu in the Palace of the Soul King. YF2F. Let them keep their heads down. It's here. Everyone must be in awe. The 13th Division, I ask you to support the 4th Division. Chen Tian didn't talk nonsense, and directly spoke his own order. Jashiro Yukatake waited and knelt on one knee. Yes, Spirit King. Jashiro Yukatake, this guy is the captain of the 13th Division, who has never beaten his opponent. But this guy has a lot of auras. For example, the first captain of the Spiritual Arts Academy since its founding, has a good literary talent, is frail and sick, and has a good reputation. They are good friends with Kyoraku Shunsui. The two are not only the disciples of Captain Yamamoto Motoinagi Sai Shigekuni, but also one of the first 2 students to be captain of the Spiritual Arts Academy since the establishment of Spiritual Arts Academy by Captain Yamamoto. In Gotei 13, one of the few captains with more than 200 years of qualifications. Now, following the instructions of the Spirit King. A gate through the boundary appeared behind the 13th squad. Jashiro Yukatake, this man with long white hair over the shoulders and a bloodless face, with the 13th Division, began to walk into the gate of the crossing. The members of the 13th Division all liked this captain, because he seemed to be gentle to anyone. For Rukia Kuchiki, it's a fatherly existence. Chen Tian also knows very little about Jashiro Yukatake, the only thing he knows is that Aizen's evaluation of this guy is too high. Sometimes the opponent is defeated by him. But it was his subordinates who killed the opponent. Right now, above the sea, Tautu conveyed the instructions of 5 elders, and the remaining combat power went up to block the 4th Division together. And at the moment, open the door. The sight of Seireitei, which was intact, made Tautu wait uncontrollably. Chapter 119. Advertise here. The crossing gate opens. Seireitei on the other side. No, it should be the Spirit Palace to be precise. Heavy. Sacred. It seems that there is no baptism of war. This is called Tautu and the others can't help but stop. Martial Sengoku of the Buddha and so on, haven't you already gone to conquer Seireitei of the Sky Island? Why does the other side seem to be calm and there seems to be nothing wrong? Could it be that Sengoku of the Buddha finished waiting? Or was it attacked before Seireitei? Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin and so on are full of thoughts, and for a while, they really don't know what to do. Members of the 4th Division, you go to Naval Headquarters to get medical equipment. Rukia, you go to support them. I am here to stop these people. Jashiro Yukatake said, his pale complexion, no matter who looked at it, he felt that this was a patient. When Rukia Kuchiki knows the character of his captain, he decides what is going on, so it's useless for the team members to say anything. Right now, Rukia Kuchiki and other Shinigami of the 13th Division, guarding the 4th Division, headed towards Naval Headquarters. Do not make jokes. Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin, etc. shot. Ben Beckman of Red Hair Pirates gave the order again, and immediately the pirates rushed up together. Suddenly a group of people was densely packed. He went to Jashiro Yukatake in front of him. The wave is my shield, the thunder is my blade, Sogyo no Kodowari. Right now, Jashiro Yukatake pulled out Zanpakuto. His knife has undergone tremendous changes. A knife, turned into 2, turned into a weird shape of shark fin, and the handles were connected. Following Zanpakuto Shikai, Jashiro Yukatake's Reiatsu, rushed out and became weird. Especially an arm of Jashiro Yukatake. The fluctuation on this arm is even more terrifying. Even if separated by thousands of meters. The Sea Kings under the sea also became uneasy, feeling that there was a bitter and terrifying breath, and they were born. Tell Sea Kings to tremble. Such a breath. It's like the one coming from the 9 nether hell. Called Sea Kings are starting to flee. Jashiro Yukatake, this pale-faced man, seemed to have become a giant at this moment, giving people an extraordinary feeling. The next moment, Jashiro Yukatake stepped out and walked slowly. The Sogyo no Kodowari in his hand looks so weird. Follow him around. Reiatsu on his body swept through a layer, and then a layer of waves. T-Dolphin and Tautu, Ben Beckman and others looked at each other. This guy, wearing Captain Gotei 13's clothes, seems to be a captain-level figure. But I don't think he can be another Unohana Retsu. Unohana Retsu is too scary. I think he is already number 1 in Gotei 13. This guy is not as good as Unohana Retsu. We go together, we may not be able to defeat him. For a while, Tautu and others also confronted Jashiro Yukitake together. Their power is close to Admiral. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Suddenly, the waves are rising. The sea swept huge waves. Tautu and T-Dolphin made slashes at the same time. Ben Beckman now grabbed the red-haired Shanks griffin, and hacked it out. The slashes were superimposed together, cutting through the air and tearing the sea. With infinite power, he walked toward Jashiro Yukitake, who came slowly. Right now, Jashiro Yukitake stretched out the knife on his left, and it collided with the slash. Immediately, the slash disappeared. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. At this moment, Tautu, T-Dolphin, Ben Beckman, etc. still don't know what happened. I saw the knife in Jashiro Yukitake's right hand, whistling and cutting. Suddenly, a slash appeared, carrying layers of waves that are sweeping high. Coming towards Tautu and others. Tautu and others with a little strength all jumped up immediately. Boom. Slash shot down on a row of warships. There was a loud noise. Slash across. The Marines on the warships in this row have not yet reacted. The warship underneath has been slashed by this one, completely split into two. Then, there was a terrible wave of more than 30 meters high. The tide is surging. The severed warship was swallowed by the waves and sank into the depths of the sea. Just now, Jashiro Yukitake's slash easily wiped out a row of warships. This kind of strength, compared to Unohana Retsu's all, the gap is too big. But with such strength, even Admiral wouldn't dare to resist easily, right? However, Ben Beckman couldn't help saying, this slash seems to be our slash. Tautu nodded and said, it does have a familiar feeling. T-Dolphin was also surprised. What the hell is going on? At this moment, Ben Beckman took a deep breath and said, let's go up again, there is one thing, I want to make sure. Ben Beckman grabbed Griffin and rushed up. His Griffin. Peach Rabbit's Jinpailuo, the devil fruit power of the T-Dolphin. Once again, he slashed at Jashiro Yukitake. Similarly, Jashiro Yukitake still blocked their offensive with the knife on the left. Then, Jashiro Yukitake, with a cold face, the knife on the right, facing Ben Beckman, Peach Rabbit, and T-Dolphin, directly slammed it out. Kang. Ben Beckman, Peach Rabbit mentioned his Griffin, Jinpiro, to block it. But with great strength. But he told Ben Beckman to wait for his arm to tremble for no reason. In Ben Beckman's eyes at this moment, a bright light flashed by. He already understands. I hurriedly jumped away and said, his Zanpakudo's ability, I probably know, the knife on the left is to absorb the power of our attack, and the knife on the right is to release. What? Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin and others looked at Ben Beckman, for the wise man on Red Hair Pirates, Ben Beckman. Dao Tu and Cha Dolphin still know it. He said so, thinking it should be like this. Such ability, T-Dolphin solemnly said, is this ability inexplicable? Ben Beckman shook his head. Jashiro Yukitake, without speaking, stood there with a pale face. It's good. He knows his own Zanpakudo abilities and is already known. The hilts are connected, and one of them can be used to absorb the enemy's attack, and then through the connected part of the hilt, pass to the other Zanpakudo and bounce it back to the opponent. And you can also adjust or even disrupt the speed or pressure of the moves you want to bounce back to your opponent. This kind of ability seems incomprehensible. In fact, it's not that strong. As long as Jashiro Yukitake can't bear the strength it can bear, then Jashiro Yukitake will be finished. And Ben Beckman, Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin, etc. also know this. Ben Beckman said, everyone, attack together. Tautu also said, I listened to Ben Beckman. Suddenly, one slash, and then another slash, is boom boom boom. Run through. The air was stagnant, and the void began to tremble. Jashiro Yukitake stretched out his left knife. Plus the old man. At this moment, Marines' reinforcements have arrived. Chapter 120. Advertise here. It was not someone else who came here, it was Zephyr. He has received instructions from 5 elders, and he didn't expect Unohana Retsu to be so tough. Zephyr has misunderstood the wrong person for the first time in so many years. Perhaps, the existence of Unohana Retsu is beyond Zephyr's understanding. Now, Zephyr and his students have also come here. Seeing that the left knife of Jashiro Yukitake is absorbing the power of Ben Beckman and other attacks. Zephyr snorted. Smash the blaster. Suddenly, the pulverizer on Zephyr's arm released a strong shelling. Boom. Now Jashiro Yukitake naturally used the knife on the left to absorb their attack power, and then the knife on the right slashed out at the same time. At this moment, Zephyr and others also shot again, and immediately 2 terrifying attacks collided together, and the aftermath of terror swept out, and layers of invisible air circles burst. The waves of tens of meters raged and spread to the surroundings. His ability looks good, but his body is the biggest limitation. In addition, we don't seem to be helpless when dealing with him. His ability is reasonable. We may not be able to help him, but he may not be able to help us. Of course, compared to this, the biggest possibility is that our attack exceeded the bottom line he can bear. Zephyr now speaks. He judged it, and finally made his own judgment. Our win rate is 5%. 13. From the current point of view, it is very rare for Jashiro Yukatake to defeat them. If Jashiro Yukatake just absorbs the attacks of others and releases it like this, then there is nothing in Jashiro Yukatake that can exceed people's expectations. Strength. Zephyr seems to be fighting another himself, so who will win? Perhaps the answer is unknown, but the power of Jashiro Yukatake did not make Taotu and others feel helpless like Unohana Retsu, but felt that they could still fight. Thinking of this, Zephyr swooped up again. Peach Rabbit, T. Dolphin, Ben Beckman, etc. were all behind Zephyr. Their desperate speed left afterimages. Layer after layer of ripples spread towards the surroundings. Finally, Chang, Zephyr, Peach Rabbit, T. Dolphin, and a few more powerful characters, they shot together, and they fought directly with Jashiro Yukatake. For a time, several figures were constantly colliding. With their fighting power, the sea level around them was hit, and ripples were randomly stirred up. The waves are surging one after another. There are constant staggered collisions between the figure and the figure. Thunder and lightning seemed to be rubbing between them, and the thunder snake was placed immediately, with a sharp aura spreading across every corner. Some guys who couldn't get their hands in, then stared at this scene in a daze. I was immersed in the terrifying power of those few people. You come and go, it's a tie at all. The captain of Seireitei Gotei 13 is not easy. But teacher Zephyr, Taotu, etc. are not weak. The captain of Gotei 13 can't help them. It's such a terrible power, it's not the same at all. It seems that everyone takes whoever. There is no way to do the same. Boom. Then, Jashiro Yukatake's left-hand knife absorbed the power, and then the right hand was released again. Zephyr and others all snorted and attacked with all their strength. No, let's run away. I don't know who shouted tremblingly. Suddenly, the pirates who couldn't get through, Marines, began to drive the warship desperately and wanted to leave here. Read more at mtlarchive.com. But, power strikes at this moment. The waves of 100 meters high, are this serious? Are you kidding me? This is the aftermath. But it's too scary. For a time, one after another warships were directly swallowed by the waves. Chang, Zephyr, Peach Rabbit, T. Dolphin, etc. are now showing their full strength, and from all aspects, they began to launch a stormy attack on Jashiro Yukatake. They feel that they are hitting you and me, no one suppresses anyone. According to Zephyr et al., there is still hope to defeat the opponent. Ain, Binzi. Following Zephyr's call, Ain, the regressive fruit power, and Binz, the lush fruit power, joined the battlefield. Under their offensive, Jashiro Yukatake's complexion seemed to be getting paler and paler, as if he would be unable to resist the next moment. Just add a little more force and he won't work. Jashiro Yukatake gave Zephyr and others the idea. Ever since, Zephyr called Ain, Binz. Right now. They attacked again with all their strength. The combined power brought a huge wave. The air is stratified. A huge power swept everything around. The waves are constantly surging. I think you can't take it anymore, right now. Zephyr shouted. But Jashiro Yukatake still used the knife of his left hand to absorb the attack. The knife in the right hand slashed out again. Boom. The ability of Jashiro Yukatake is not strong, nor is it strong, but it is a bit weird to say it is strong. All in all, watching the First World War, some people who were lucky enough not to die have sweaty beads on their foreheads. They don't know how to evaluate Jashiro Yukatake's ability. You can't beat me, I can't beat you. Jashiro Yukatake, now for everyone, and for Zephyr and others, is this feeling. Some more people, Zephyr yelled. Immediately some Marines who know armament hockey knew that they had to go too. Suddenly some people also rushed up. Now, they cast armament hockey one by one, covering their attacking objects, swords, fists, etc. Their attacks were once again superimposed together, and then blasted out. Wow, under such power, everything is broken. Jashiro Yukatake, the knife in his hand rolled over, and his posture was good, and then the knife in his left hand absorbed the offensive again. Zephyr waited a bit bored. If you continue to fight like this, is it endless? The power of Jashiro Yukatake is not terrible, but it gives people a very helpless feeling. It seems that how to fight is the same as oneself, and it seems that there is no way to tell the outcome. And this time, the 4th Division has obtained medical equipment. This side of the Spirit Palace. As long as you come back, the task will be completed. Chen Tian looked at the pirate world, and Jashiro Yukatake and Zephyr were boring to fight again. He opened his mouth. The voice suddenly appeared in Rukia Kuchiki's ear. Now, I give you the power of Bankai. Let Soda no Shirayuki, fight. Chapter 121. Advertise here. Rukia Kuchiki and other members of the 13th Division escorted the members of the 4th Division to carry some medical equipment. The members of the 4th Division couldn't help feeling that in terms of medical machinery, Seireitei is not comparable to naval headquarters. No way. The Technology Development Bureau, Kuritsuchi Mayuri, the guy he has never done experiments, seems to be weird. He seems to never work hard on medical equipment. The medical equipment in the naval headquarters makes the members of the 4th Division very happy. Right now, Rukia Kuchiki heard a sacred voice. This voice, called Reiatsu in the body, was surrendering and singing. No doubt, she knew that the being who was talking to herself was the master of many worlds, the Spirit King. Then, Rukia Kuchiki saw battle after battle, it was her battle with some strange existence. These battles, at this moment, she hasn't experienced them yet, and she doesn't know who they are. The battle flew by, Rukia Kuchiki only felt that he seemed to understand something. Now, she is holding her Zanpakuto. Her Zanpakuto is Soda no Shirayuki, the most beautiful Zanpakuto in Soul Society. In the shikai state, it is like an ordinary Japanese samurai sword. The octagonal corners of the knife are nearly rectangular, with flame-like patterns on both sides of the long side, and jade-like patterns on the short side. There are curved slits on the top and bottom of the blade, and a series of curved reliefs on both sides of the blade. The handle is brownish red. There seems to be nothing strange. Right now, the 4th division is here for you, I'm going to support the captain. Rukia Kuchiki bends toward the crowd, expressing apologies, and then leaves. Shinigami, a petite, black-haired beautiful girl with short curled tails and short hair. Deep purple eyes, single bangs hanging down to the forehead. Now, as she ran, her hair was dancing in the wind. She feels that she is now capable of helping her captain Jashiro Yukitake. Right now, she went outside. Jashiro Yukitake is still fighting Zephyr, Tautu and others. This battle is quite strange. Peach Rabbit plus T-Dolphin plus Beckman and others equals Jashiro Yukitake. Then Zephyr joined. Zephyr plus Peach Rabbit plus T-Dolphin plus Beckman and others equals Jashiro Yukitake. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Ask, what is Zephyr's combat power? Is it 0? Let me come. Now that the attacks of the two sides in front finally stopped temporarily, after the impact, the air wave rolled and the sea waved, and the two sides retreated temporarily, and Rukia Kuchiki walked up at this moment. Rukia Kuchiki knew, his captain has never won, but he has never lost. This is the captain in the minds of every member of the 13th Division, and to some extent, he is also a man who has never failed. Give many team members a sense of security and reliability. He always looked pale, and sometimes really worried the players, but he never fell weakly in front of the players. Rukia Kuchiki recalled the Jashiro Yukitake in his mind, and felt that he might really fit the role of his father, and he took good care of the players. Now Rukia Kuchiki knows that it's time for him to act. And Jashiro Yukitake also noticed the changes in Rukia Kuchiki Reiatsu. Originally, Rukia Kuchiki, in the 13th Division, might not even be able to rank in the first 3 seats, but now Rukia Kuchiki faintly makes Jashiro Yukitake feel that she is qualified to be the captain of the division. Okay, then everything is up to you. Now Jashiro Yukitake stepped aside. He is completely different from Zaraki Kenpachi and other captains, and he is not so obsessed with fighting. Jashiro Yukitake is like this. His retreat made Zephyr and others look at each other. What is going on? Of course there are a few guesses. First, the guy who came out is stronger than Jashiro Yukitake. The second is the endurance of Jashiro Yukitake, which has finally reached the bottom line. If Zephyr and others continue to attack, Jashiro Yukitake will no longer be able to support it. After all, absorbing the opponent's attack, and then using another knife to restore the color, there must be a limit to this ability. Zephyr and others took a look at Rukia Kuchiki. The little girl didn't wear the captain's Death Tyrant costume, just simple team clothes. Judging from the order in which the 13th squad played just now, this girl is afraid that it is not the deputy captain, nor is it the 3rd seat or something. What do you think of Teacher Zephyr? Ain immediately asked Zephyr, as did Dao too and so on. Not to mention Zephyr's strength, let's talk about Zephyr's experience. His experience is definitely not comparable to other people present. Zephyr used to be Marine Admiral. He was Marine Admiral in the same class as Sengoku of Buddha. Even if his previous strength is not as good as Sengoku of Buddha, he will definitely not be worse off. Find flowers. Another point is that the current Marine Admiral 3, as well as Marines Lieutenant Generals and some particularly promising Marine Generals, have all been trained by Zephyr, and Zephyr is their teacher. Therefore, both Tautu and Ben Beckman respect Zephyr very much. The pirate respects Zephyr because he does not kill Admiral. At this moment, Zephyr took a deep breath and said, "We may have hope of victory." The strength of this little girl. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look great, and if this little girl is really capable, then when she escorted the 4th Division just now, she wouldn't stand in that position. Just now when the 13th Division escorted the 4th Division to leave, you can see who is more powerful in the 13th Division. The more powerful guys are standing in some particularly dangerous positions. This little girl did not like this just now. Zephyr, pay attention to this very carefully. Some people will be negligent in the fight and forget the surrounding movement. But Zephyr will not. Tautu and others nodded, believing Zephyr's judgment. Tautu knows that he must win now, because the Sengoku side of the Buddha may have already failed. When the gate of the crossing was opened just now, the scenery on the other side was intact, there was no fierce battle at all, and he didn't know the vacancy. What happened on the island? Could it be that the entire army of Buddha Sengoku was wiped out? Now, Zephyr and others launched the offensive together, and a group of figures broke through the air, and there was a terrible sound of shattering. Fragmentation is too fast, and at the moment, Ling dance, Soda no Shirayuki. The Zanpakuto in Rukia Kuchiki's hands finally changed to a Z, whose blade, guard, and hilt were all pure white Zanpakuto. The knife blade has an oval shape with 6 hollows. The front end of the handle has a pattern, and the end is connected with a white ribbon. Just now, the Spirit King asked Rukia Kuchiki to discover something, a secret of Soda no Shirayuki, which he didn't know before. That is Soda no Shirayuki. It is not a knife that releases cold from the blade, but makes the user's body fall below freezing, so that everything touched will be frozen. Right now, the surrounding temperature began to drop sharply. Cold, but beautiful. Chuan. Chapter 122. Advertise here. At this moment, Zephyr and others have approached Rukia Kuchiki. And Rukia Kuchiki is also holding Zanpakuto, and quickly waved it. This is one of her moves, the first dance of the moon white. The tip of the local Soda no Shirayuki drew a circle on the ground for an instant, and the area covered by this circle was in a frozen field. For a while, the cold air spread and they called Zephyr and others, only to feel that the soul seemed to tremble, and immediately retreated. Although it was just a simple fight, Zephyr and others already understood that the woman in front of them should not be underestimated. This seems to be the power of ice and snow. He doesn't have the horrible level of Unohana Retsu that makes people feel irresistible. As long as we cooperate well, we can still defeat her. Taotu said. He felt that the strength of Rukia Kuchiki in front of him might be in the quasi-admiral, and admiral or admiral a little bit more, and did not surpass too much. Taotu felt that if he worked hard with her, he would have a chance of winning at the cost of his life. After hearing what Taotu said, Zephyr and others also nodded. The woman in front of her didn't mean to be strong enough to be above them, and she didn't have the power to completely suppress them. Now Taotu's battle slash cut through the space and headed towards Rukia Kuchiki. Break open the ice and snow, powerful. There is no doubt that Taotu's strength is placed above the sea, and it is also the level of a swordsman. And now Rukia Kuchiki is performing the second dance, Baron. The tip of a knife pierced into the ground, and then, like an avalanche, it released a powerful air conditioner and Taotu's slash, colliding together. Suddenly, Taotu's energy body's slash was frozen like an entity. But at this time Zephyr's fist had already come, and Rukia Kuchiki was too late to spread her wings again and dance the white ripples again, so she could only move back and avoid Zephyr's fist. While retreating, 3 dances were displayed. The moisture in the atmosphere gathered on the tip of Soda no Shirayuki's blade, creating an ice skate, and then headed towards Zephyr in front of him. This move was really unexpected. It happened in the electric light. Between the flint, the ice blade cut through the air, and in an instant, Zephyr couldn't defend it, but the arm of the conch stone was directly chopped off. At this time, Ain's Devil Fruit ability had already hit Rukia Kuchiki in front of him. Ain's Devil Fruit ability is actually very powerful. She is the Devil Fruit, ability is the fruit of regression. The people who were met, their age or something, went back 12 years. Seeing this scene, Zephyr now also shouted, okay. Above the sea, there are some devil fruits that have weak attack power but have weird abilities. Such devil fruit ability, because of the weak attack power, etc. Therefore, it is too difficult to hit the strong. But the problem is that once you get hit, even Admiral will hurt your head. One of the regressive fruits is one of them. The corners of Taotu's mouth were also smiling, and it seemed that they had the upper hand. But Rukia Kuchiki, who was hit, did not change in the slightest. It's okay. Jashiro Yukitaki asked on the side. Rukia Kuchiki shook his head. Maybe it's her age, not as simple as it seems. Or maybe Shinigami's body is different from their body after all, read more at mtlarchive.com. All in all, the fruit of retreat did not have any obvious effect on her. Zephyr and others frowned slightly. Is this guy okay? Ain was already there, secretly asking what's going on. It's okay, Ain, although we did not succeed, DNA is not at a disadvantage now. Zephyr pointed at Ain. With teacher Zephyr, Ain feels better. At this time, Rukia Kuchiki is thinking about how to attack next. Because of the help of the Spirit King. She has great changes, but those changes, like dreams. Which trick do you want to use now? She is not very clear yet. Do you want to use Absolute Zero? Or Bankai? When Rukia Kuchiki was in a daze, the Peach Rabbit, T-Dolphin, and Zephyr were already standing beside Rukia Kuchiki. Zephyr said, if you want to defeat one of us, it will take some time. As for it, it will be difficult to defeat us all. Jashiro Yukitaki stood by, knowing that Zephyr was right. Rukia Kuchiki has changed, but this change happened suddenly, not bit by bit. And so, if a strong guy can kill 10 tigers, he will suddenly give his power to a person, but this person's power is his own power plus the power of the strong man. It stands to reason that he can kill more than 10 tigers. Tigers are right, but the record is not as good as expected. At the beginning, I was afraid that even 8 tigers could not be killed, right? It was at this time that Taotu finally couldn't bear his curiosity and said, I want to ask you, Seireitei, is there nothing at all? T-Dolphin and others are also frowning. Of course it's okay, what can there be? Sure enough, Rukia Kuchiki shook her head. Even in battle, she still has some aristocratic demeanor. If you are willing to answer the enemy, no, in Rukia Kuchiki's opinion, Marine is not actually an enemy, right? The enemy of Shinigami has always been only. Didn't the Marine Corps attack Seireitei? Taotu asked immediately with an ugly face. Zephyr was startled. He had long suspected that Sengoku and others were not in naval headquarters, and now he understood what happened. Upon hearing this, Rukia Kuchiki shook his head and said, when I came here, Seireitei was safe and sound. Taotu and others. So, where did Sengoku of Buddha wait? Thinking of something, Rukia Kuchiki said. Perhaps they have encountered misfortune, you know, to go to Seireitei, they have to pass through the boundary. In the boundary, there is a sudden conflict or something. Jutu, a scavenger who appears once every 7 days in the realm, and does not rely on Reiatsu to survive. When it appears, it will destroy all materials that stand in its orbit. Rukia Kuchiki said, your people, maybe they are already dead, you know, it's terrifying to be abrupt. Her serious look made Dao Tu and the others startled. Died. The Buddha Sengoku, etc., all dead. Was it wiped out by the so-called Jutu before Seireitei? Although I don't know what Jutu is. But from the tone of Rukia Kuchiki, we can also know that this is some kind of terrible existence. When Tautu couldn't accept this result, Zephyr was the first to come back to his senses, sacrifice. He has seen too many sacrifices. He shouted. I hope to fight. If Sengoku and others die, then we will win even more, right? Tautu waited to recover. Rukia Kuchiki knows he must be serious. It's the Bankai. Chapter 123. Advertise here. Undoubtedly, Rukia Kuchiki's mind is sometimes unacceptable. She never thought of the naval headquarters Buddha Sengoku and other important combat forces. She did not go to Seireitei at all, but went to other places. I thought that the Buddha Sengoku and others went to Seireitei, but they have not yet appeared in Seireitei, that is, they were completely destroyed by the Jutu in the broken world. Now Zephyr and other marine frowned. They think this Seireitei is a very dangerous place. What is meant by this is that before going to Seireitei, they will pass through the boundary, and they will also encounter any conflicts. Duanji, it sounds like a place name. And Jutu sounded like a monster. Then, how many levels do you need to pay attention to before going to Seireitei? If you don't know this, if you want to attack Seireitei in the future, will you be completely confused and fail? At this moment, Zephyr and others could not help but think of this, frowning. I just feel that the place where Seireitei is located is very threatening. Where is the most dangerous place on the sea? I'm afraid it's not as good as the so-called Seireitei. Sengoku, who can call the Buddha, was completely defeated. Such a terrible place, how can 18 not understand it before going there? Zephyr also feels his brain hurts very much now. As the former Marine Admiral, Zephyr has always been satisfied with the Naval Headquarters Intelligence Department, and also feels that Marine's Intelligence Department is very complete. Don't underestimate the Marine's Intelligence Department, such as Baroque Studios. Marine's Intelligence Department knew exactly what they did. The people in their Baroque studio must have planted some people. They must have known the situation of Princess Vivi's family, but Naval Headquarters did not punish Crocodile. It's because things weren't so riotous. Ever since, choose not to know. Why does Naval Headquarters do this? This has to bring up the laws of the world government. The laws of the world government do not exist for real justice. But it exists for stability. The so-called stability is a matter, which can be completely solved or suppressed so that people no longer mention it. As for the final punishment is right, the punishment is wrong. Or what? These are not important at all. As long as there is no heat, let people stop mentioning it. For the world government, this matter is resolved. This kind of thing is not shameless for the world government, but it is taken for granted. Naval Headquarters is also affiliated to the world government, which naturally follows the style of the world government. Some rules, Sengoku of the Buddha, cannot be broken either. Anyone who sits in a high position thought about making drastic changes before, but only after sitting up did he find that he was powerless at all. In the end, he was numb, treated as invisible, and gradually, combined with each other. Marine Intelligence Department is very powerful. But for now, Zephyr still feels that the Intelligence Department must still know nothing about Seireitei, or that it only knows a little bit. If you don't know yourself and the enemy, then what is it? Thinking of this, Zephyr took a deep breath. He felt that it was too early to defeat Seireitei at this moment. The Buddha Sengoku and others are too impatient. Or maybe it's a fan of the authorities and a clear bystander. Everyone, listen to me. Zephyr suddenly said solemnly. Tautu waited and looked at Zephyr one by one. Regarding the admiral that Marine used to be, they were all willing to follow his teachings. What we have to do now is to win a Gotei 13 guy, so that we can learn from the other side how many levels Seireitei has and other secrets. Only by knowing the opponent absolutely, can we be 100% sure to defeat the opponent. Tautu and others nodded solemnly one by one. The site of the gate through the boundary is intact, indicating that even if the Buddha Sengoku and others are not dead, they are trapped in the boundary, as Rukia Kuchiki said. In the hard fight. Read more at mtlarchive.com. Tautu waited until now to understand one thing: war is not the so-called strong strength, sometimes it is necessary to have enough understanding of the opponent to be able to defeat the opponent. After all, war and battle have two different meanings. On. Zephyr waited and rushed forward, as long as they cooperated to take down Rukia Kuchiki, in their opinion, it was not difficult. But at this moment, Bankai, suddenly, anomaly, appeared. In the sky, a huge disk appeared, looking white and flawless. Then, a beam of light rushed out from the opposite side, a disk that pierced the sky. Zephyr waited and stopped immediately. However, there are light waves surging around like giant waves. For a while, all objects are frozen. Go. Zephyr's complexion changed drastically. So freezing, awakening with Aokiji's frozen fruit, who is strong and who is weak, Zephyr has no thoughts. He shouted. Zephyr and Tautu jumped away one by one. However, without the existence of such strength as Zephyr, one by one, the whole body was frozen. The wind blows. Crush like crushed ice. This is Bankai of Rukia Kuchiki, named Baixia punishment. The Spirit Palace. Chen Tian is also looking at this trick. Bankai is self-defeating, extremely difficult to control. Is a very special Bankai. Among the original works, it was rated by Byakuya Kuchiki as, although it is excellent, it is very difficult to use, and Bankai is in danger of death if there is a half-step mistake. Really, after using this Bankai, Rukia Kuchiki became wrong. At this time, Jashiro Yukataki shot, and his left-hand knife received the power of Rukia Kuchiki Bankai. Jashiro Yukataki looked paler for a while, and his steps were a little shaky. He didn't expect Rukia Kuchiki's Bankai to be so powerful. At this moment, Rukia Kuchiki is already weak. Jashiro Yukataki is even more unstable. Zephyr waited but didn't expect. Rukia Kuchiki, this is not a captain-level existence, it can also be Bankai. And the power is so powerful to this point. I thought that after Rukia Kuchiki played Bankai, they would definitely lose, but I didn't expect that the result would be like this. Did we win this? Taotu said in a daze, looking at Rukia Kuchiki and Jashiro Yukataki who had a trouble in front of them. T-Dolphin and so on didn't expect things would turn out like this. On the marine side, they were finally favored by the goddess of luck. At this moment, the members of the 13th Division and the 4th Division did not expect things to turn out like this, and Unohana Retsu is already a gentlewoman at this moment, and I don't know if there is still a fight. Marine is happy. Brew. Now, the phone bug in Peach Rabbit's arms rang. Kendo Five Elders' voice came out. How is the matter? Taotu said with joy. Master Five Elders, it seems that we have won. Where will things end like this? Within the Spirit Palace. Chen Tian's ear. Ding, the task is 90% complete. Ding, the 4th Division has already got medical equipment, just need to return. Ding, you unlock one of the disciples of Yamamoto Genryūsai, Hiraku Shunsui. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 124. Advertise here. Ding, congratulations on getting Hiraku Shunsui. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the 8th Division. Close black lens bracket. 8th Division. Chen Tian thought for a while. To be honest, in Gotei 13, this 8th Division is a bit inconspicuous, and the deputy captain is Aiz Naneo. It is Shinigami, a girl with intellectual beauty. In the original work, Shinigami tried to stop Sato, but was beaten by Sato. The team flower is the bird of paradise flower. Flower language is to seize everything. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the 8th Division team house. This is a very simple team house. So far, the easiest thing Chen Tian has seen is this team house. 2-story building. The only good thing is the location, located in the middle of Seireitei. Now that the mission has reached 90%, which is only 10% short, Yamamoto Genryūsai can come out. At that time, the Mao Spiritual Academy will also be unlocked. Thought of this, Chen Tian clapped his hands. The 8th Division, come and see me. As the Spirit King, in charge of many worlds, he speaks as usual. The members of the 8th Division came here the next moment, a little surprised. But here the majestic Reiatsu, they lowered their heads to suppress them, and there was no time for them to think more. The head is a man with long brown hair tied into a ponytail, 2 fancy hairpins pinned on, and a pink feather knit coat embroidered with a pattern. He often wears a petite hat on his head and a little beard on his chin. He looks too lazy. The man wearing the hat, now with his arms akimbo, but his tone is completely frivolous. Under the pressure of the Spirit King, he still solemnly knelt on one knee. Excuse me, what's the order? The members of the 8th Division knelt down one by one. Go and bring back the guys from the 4th and 13th Divisions. Yes, Hiraku Shunsui nodded, and at the same time promised, there will be no one missing. Open the door. This is the sea area before Naval Headquarters. Taotu and others have reported the situation to 5 elders, and they won. Then hang up the phone worm. Victory came a little confused. But there is no doubt that the guys who can fight in the 13th squad and the 4th squad seem to be unable to fight again. Look at other players. Maybe there is strength, but it is not justified. Zephyr sighed, but still solemnly said, on the sea, if you win, you win. Don't think about it. Now, take them down. Taotu waited and nodded. At this moment, Jashiro Yukataki gritted his teeth. In fact, he still has a whole card, but just at this time, the crossing gate appeared. Hiraku Shunsui, with the members of the 8th Division, arrived. Facing this sudden change, Taotu and others were all startled. The man who likes to get into other people's fights the most, Hiraku Shunsui. Jashiro Yukataki smiled at this moment. Read more at mtlarchive.com. The members of the 13th Division and the 4th Division are also overjoyed. What they know so far. Hiraku Shunsui is the first-class existence of Gotei 13. Looking at the scene in front of me, Hiraku Shunsui still has a lazy face, seeming to be listless, his eyes drooping, and nothing happens in the operation. It is not enough to make his eyes lift up. Oh, it seems that things will be a little bit worse if I don't come. After Hiraku Shunsui said, he looked at Jashiro Yukataki and said, remember, I saved you this time. Jashiro Yukataki. All in all, Hiraku Shunsui's attitude, called Zephyr, is very uncomfortable. First, seeing the goddess of victory, she finally took care of them. Seeing that the guy who was finally going to catch Seireitei, he then interrogates Seireitei's secrets, knowing himself and knowing the enemy in every battle. Unexpectedly, Cheng Yaojin was killed halfway through. Second, the look of this man, being idle, is annoying. Why do you look a bit like that guy? Zephyr couldn't help thinking of one of his own students. On top of being lazy, the two seemed like brothers, and they both looked like this virtue. Come on, come back with me. Hiroku Shunsui said. The members of the 13th Division and the 4th Division nod their heads. Don't be kidding, Zephyr shouted. Taotu is also angry. Seeing that victory is in sight, is it because of this man? Just give up. The movement of the earth. T-Dolphin took a deep breath, he was even more angry, the kind of victory in front of him, but suddenly disappointed. It was as if he felt that the confession would be successful every time, but was suddenly rejected. Right now, T-Dolphin shot. Suddenly, on the ground of naval headquarters, there was a frantic surging. Immediately, a huge stone fist began to emerge from the ground, breaking through the air, with terrible force, aimed at Hiroku Shunsui in front of him, and slammed directly on it. The terrifying power contained in it came through the air with a sharp voice. Under such a punch, it seems that everything will be flattened. Earth fruit. Oh, Hiroku Shunsui's lowered eyes looked at the huge stone fist that was slammed at him. Still looks like that. It seems that the person who was beaten was not the same as himself. Of course, Hiroku Shunsui's strength should not be underestimated. Facing the stone fist, Hiroku Shunsui moved. It is believed that anyone who joins the war for any reason, as long as the war officially begins, all those who participate in the war are burdened with the evils of the war. Quote. Hit finger. His fingertips moved towards the giant fist. Boom. In an instant, Dashi collapses. The T-Dolphin was startled. Hiroku Shunsui still stood there, with an attitude similar to Kizaru, but with a slightly different attitude, shrugged and said, as long as we fight, we are all sinners. Swish. The few noblemen on the side, but some powerful marine generals, saw the gap. Correct. Have a chance. This Hiroku Shunsui looks at this moment, it seems that there are weaknesses everywhere. They swarmed up. Stop. Zephyr saw this scene and immediately shouted. But those marine generals, how can they be obedient? They are all fast, and in terms of their skills, they may not be much worse than Zoro at the moment. Of course, they are much older than Zoro. Looking at this scene, the other marine soldiers felt that Zhao Fa was worried for nothing. If they had the abilities of those few, they would do the same. To know, today, this Hiroku Shunsui really has too many weaknesses. Standing there are weaknesses in every move. The eyes drooping, it seems that he is not serious. And such a person, in the opinion of some marines, is very easy to suffer a big loss in battle. Hiroku Shunsui shook his head. The 78 of Hado, /Hulan. Too fast. Hiroku Shunsui drew his knife, then swiped it. Everything is done in an instant. Suddenly, a ring-shaped light-wheeled sharp blade was terrifyingly powerful. Open everything close to people. At the same time, members of the 4th Division took the lead in entering the gate. At the same time, watching this scene, Taotu took out the phone worm, ready to contact 5 elders at any time. At the same time, as the 4th Division entered the crossing gate. Ding, congratulations on getting the task to unlock the character Yamamoto Genryūsai. Chapter 125. Advertise here. Within the Spirit Palace. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth finally sketched a trace of smile. He, the captain, finally unlocked it. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the first team. The flower of the first team is a chrysanthemum. Waiu is true and pure. The deputy captain, Chojiro, his Zanpakuto is thunder. The third seat is Okinawa Genshiro. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the first team house. The team house of the first division is the closest to the headquarters, located on the side of the mountain, hanging on the mountain like a hanging temple. Ding, congratulations on unlocking the Mao Spiritual Academy. Also known as Shinigami Academy. About 2,000 years ago, the school was founded by Yamamoto, the former captain of Gotei 13, Shigekuni, Yamamoto. Yamamoto taught here in his early years. The philosophy and tradition is to nurture the younger generation Shinigami to become the future Gotei 13, hidden maneuver and Kido crowd. About 50 years ago, the head teacher of the first class, elite class, of the first year was Unohana Yangoro. Almost all members of Gotei 13 graduated here, with the exception of Byakuya Kuchiki and Jashiro Yukitaki of the previous generation, as well as Abarai Renji and Hitsugaya Toshirō of the younger generation, Rukia Kuchiki. The school building resembles a besieged city, with an outer wall surrounding the college and partitioned by a gate. Trees are planted in the walls. The classrooms are wide and there are no lights on the ceiling, but windows are provided to let in sunlight. There are blackboards and lecterns, and tables and chairs are placed horizontally in rows facing the lectern. Ceilings, corridors, classroom floors, doors, etc. are all made of wood. The corner of Chen Tian's mouth smiled. Ding, congratulations on getting Ryūjin Jakka at the same time. Chen Tian nodded. If you travel to the pirate world, you can only choose a handful of Zanpakuto, then Chen Tian wants to come. 70% of the people choose Ryūjin Jakka, and the remaining 30% should choose Kyoka Suigetsu. The popularity of these two Zanpakuto is really too great. Sometimes, the popularity of Kyoka Suigetsu may be higher than Ryūjin Jakka for a certain period of time. As for the protagonist Kurosaki Ichigo's Zanpakuto, it has been ignored by many people. Now, Chen Tian clapped his hands. Yamamoto Genryūsai appeared. The cross-shaped scar on the right side of the head, the waist tied with a purple belt, has a silver beard. He gives people a feeling of vicissitudes. There is a kind of ancient flavor between deportment and deportment. Yamamoto attaches great importance to the discipline and norms of its members, and its motto is, "He who neglects justice will not forgive the old man." However, his so-called justice is only abiding by the laws of Soul Society and being loyal to the royal family. Anyone who dares to challenge Soul Society's discipline, even his own protege, will not hesitate to draw his sword against him. In contrast, he welcomes people with lofty ideals who stand by their own justice and are always pursuing progress to join Gotei 13, and he will personally guide the members of his squad. Chen Tian pointed a finger. Suddenly, Yamamoto Genryūsai also saw the present world, which is above the sea, above the naval headquarters, that battle. His disciple Kyoraku Shunsui is competing with others. But watching the aftermath of the tyrannical and fierce attacks, bursting away from the field, leaving clear scars on the hard ground of naval headquarters. Above the naval headquarters, many people watched the battle, holding their breath, their eyes moved with the movement of the figures in the fierce battle. The increasingly fierce and terrifying battle made everyone's heart. Can't help but mention it. Zephyr and others rushed forward. The Kyoraku Shunsui, who looked lazy and dressed obviously different from other Shinigami, took them one by one. The gestures were very casual, and the battle was taken so seriously, but it was unexpected and unpredictable. There is no appearance of falling into the wind half dead, read more at mtlarchive.com. If you look closely, it actually suppresses signs of Zephyr and others. Some marine soldiers who saw this scene were dumbfounded. Gotei 13, every captain is extremely powerful. Either it can be tied with Admiral, or it seems to have the strength above Admiral. Isn't there a weaker? This kind of organization is too unscientific, how can it appear on this sea? Yup, Zephyr and others also discovered that they did their best to defeat Kyoraku Shunsui. At the same time, Kyoraku Shunsui did not even show shikai. Doesn't seem to fight hard, as if playing. This made Zephyr wait unnatural. Victory just now, right in front of us. Just because this man came out halfway. As a result, naval headquarters has suffered heavy losses now, but has not exchanged some results. We don't seem to be able to do it anymore. We have played so many games, and then we fight with this man, we can't fight with 100% energy. Although the man in front of him did not show his full strength, Zephyr and others showed 100%, afraid that he would lose, but they are still not convinced. Zephyr said, "I don't know why he hasn't tried his best to fight us, but this is also a great blessing in misfortune. Tautu, you contact 5 elders, and let's hold him." Tautu nodded. Zephyr swarmed again. Tautu contacted 5 elders. In the spirit palace. Because of Chen Tian, Yamamoto Genryūsai frowned when he saw the battle in this world. He immediately looked at Chen Tian and said, "The old man didn't expect him to." Nothing. Chen Tian shook his head. It seems that Yamamoto Genryūsai also noticed that Kyoraku Shunsui did not fight seriously. But Kyoraku Shunsui can't be blamed. The task given to him is to pick up the 13th and 4th squadrons. In addition, Kyoraku Shunsui, maybe it's also forcing the naval headquarters to have any whole cards. This man, it looks lazy, but in fact, he is more careful than anyone else. The phrase, "the world laughs at me too crazy, I laugh at others can't see through," seems to fit him well. Sometimes he can be careful to discover things that other people can't think of. Seeing that the Spirit King did not blame Kyoraku Shunsui, Yamamoto Genryūsai nodded. Now, the sea, Holy Land Mary Geoise, in the highest office-like room. 5 elders is drinking again. I wasn't in the mood at first, but after listening to Tautu's phone worm call back and said, it was a victory. This makes them feel good. Although the steel frame is empty. But, just win. Gengukong is an individual talent, but it is not impossible to find someone to replace him. Brew. Kendo 5 elders phone worm screamed again, and he answered directly now with a relaxed expression on his face. I'm Tautu, my side. Tautu's voice seemed very anxious. Kendo 5 elders had a bad sense of suddenness and directly interrupted Tautu's words. Did something happen? Yes, I was going to succeed, but I didn't expect another captain from Gotei 13 to appear. Hearing this, the faces of the 5 elders were all ugly. How come the captains of Gotei 13 show up one after another, and all of them are so powerful? Master 5 elders, what should I do now? Tautu asked.